National Ag Day. I think he's going up to the podium. Yep.
Good morning. I'd like to ask some members of the farm community to come up from the Mark Schneiderwin, Steve Warwick, Pat McDonald, and John Anderman. Please join me. These are leaders of the farm community. So I'm very proud to present this National Agricultural Day resolution in support of Will County agriculture. Whereas Will County recognizes the significant impact agriculture plays within our county, state, and country, and whereas agriculture is Illinois' #1 industry and employs citizens across the state, and whereas the Will County Board and the Will County Executive both acknowledge that from farm fields to urban farms and to the manufacturing of food and fiber, agriculture is essential to the daily lives of American citizens. And whereas Illinois accounts for 70,700 farms, which equate to 26,300,000 acres, Will County accounts for 780 farms, which equate to over 240,000 acres in production agriculture out of a total of 540 acres. This represents 45% of the land in Will County, and whereas 96% of Illinois and Will County farms are family-owned, and whereas a majority of the farms in Will County use conservation practices, and whereas agriculture contributes a total of $543.1 billion in agricultural products, and whereas the total value of crops in 2022 was $281 billion. For livestock, the value was $262 billion, and whereas the American farmer represents one of the oldest professions in our country, the farmer has evolved to embrace new technologies that protect our soil, water, and air. Now, therefore, the Will County Board and the Will County Executive recognizes on March 19, 2024 as National Agricultural Day and calls on our citizens to recognize and celebrate the contributions farmers and farm families have made to better the lives of our citizens. Thank you.
Motion by Butler.
Dan Butler.
Seconded by O'Gala. Previous roll call. By Mueller. Seconded by Coleman. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
All right.
We're going to get a picture, guys. I'm going to mess up the black suits.
No, blue.
Thank you all. Congratulations. Thank you. Good to see you. Thank you. Thank you all. All right. Moving on, we have Board Member Costa recognizing Women's History Month.
Good morning. I'd like to invite the 14 Women County Board members to join me in this honorary proclamation for Women's History Month. Oh, that would have been nice.
I would have taken a break from the blue dress.
Or put it over. Hi, Julie.
I actually thought about we should have invited Laura Welsh,
Oh,
but that would have caused a political firestorm, I'm sure.
there's Sherry. No, take your time. Excellent. Whereas American women of every race, class, and ethnic background have made historic contributions to the growth and strength of our nation in countless ways. And whereas American women have played and continue to play critical economic, cultural, and social roles in every sphere of life by constituting a significant portion of the labor force working inside and outside of the home. And whereas American women have fulfilled a unique role throughout history by providing the majority of the volunteer labor force. And whereas American women were particularly important in the establishment of early charitable, philanthropic, and cultural institutions in our nation. And whereas American women of every race, class, and ethnic background served as early leaders in the forefront of every major social change movement, as well as serving our country courageously in the military. And whereas American women have been leaders, not only in securing their own rights of suffrage and equal opportunity, but also in the abolitionist movement, the emancipation movement, the industrial labor movement, the civil rights movement, and other movements. And now, therefore, be it resolved that we celebrate our incredible grandmothers, mothers, aunts, sisters, daughters, and every woman making a difference in their own unique way through their strength, resilience, and beauty. Let's continue to empower each other today and every day and create a world where every woman's voice is heard and valued as they inspire us, challenge us, and lift us up. Be it further resolved by the Will County Board that March is designated as Women's History Month as we celebrate the accomplishments of the women of Will County.
And I so
Is
moved.
that a motion?
And I so move.
Motion by Costa, seconded by Trenier. Previous by Freeman. Second by O'Gala. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay.
Good job.
Come on, get in there.
Hold on, county executive's coming.
Yeah, we
Yep.
gotta have one more chick down here.
I asked her. I asked her.
There we go.
Come
Laura.
on.
Yeah.
There you go. Just in time for the month.
Thank you.
Now go. All right. Okay, we will now move on to public comments. Do we have any public comments for today's agenda items? Public comments for today's agenda items. If you'd like to speak, come on down here. You can come up here. Just a reminder, you have 3 minutes for public comment, and please just state your name for the record.
Good morning. My name is Scott Perry. I'm getting a little practice at public speaking that I'm not accustomed to anymore, being retired. But anyway, I live in Homer Glen, and I'm here to talk about the 143rd Street widening. You know, every time I talk to my neighbors, it comes up, well, where'd you come from? How long you been here in Homer Glen? And invariably, the answer is, well, I came from a suburb further east. You know, Orland Park, Tinley Park, Crestwood, you name it. And they moved out to Homer Glen because they liked the atmosphere of Homer Glen. They got tired of the concrete. They got tired of the strip malls lining the concrete roads, and they moved out to Homer Glen for the trees and for the nature. And they were affluent enough to be able to do that. Many of the homes out there are set on an acre, 2 acres, 3 acres, up to 10 acres. And the folks have put a lot of money and time into making their homes and their community what it is today. And this 143rd Street widening is just, it brings to the community what people left to get away from. And I live along Hadley Road, same thing. You know, they're gonna chop down 100-year-old oak trees to improve the road. And you know, to us, the last thing it did was improve our environment. And you know, if we keep doing this to the community loses what made it unique, and people will leave the community. They're affluent, they're mobile. You'll take a piece of Will County that I think adds character and adds revenue to the county, and those folks will get up and leave. You know, that's why they came here, and they won't stay if it changes. So. You know, just really ask you to look at the resolution. You know, it wasn't just a NIMBY thing where, you know, not in my backyard, you know, stop it. It also said, let's take a look at different solutions. Let's take a look at different ideas. That's the other piece of this resolution that I think hasn't been talked about much. And I think that benefits not just Homer Glen, it might benefit the entire community. Because if the folks that leave Homer Glen because they lose that atmosphere, they aren't going to go further west in Will County. Because if they're convinced that Will County isn't listening, they'll go to other places. They'll leave the state entirely, or they'll go to DuPage County or Kane County, someplace that they feel that they can invest the time and the money to create a community that is going to be supported by the folks around them, the government around them. So again, just ask you to reconsider the veto on that, and let's take a look at different options to address the 143rd Street and whatever issues it may have. So, thank you again for your time.
My name is Kimberly Patty. Hello, my name is Kimberly Patty. I reside on South Cedar Road in Homer Glen. Thank you to the members of the Will County Board. I thank you for this opportunity to have my voice heard. Fellow residents, passionate defenders of our community's will, today we stand on the front lines of a battle that's not just about a road, but the core of our democratic fabric. The 143rd Street expansion saga, the attempt to overturn Resolution 2427, is a glaring symbol of a broader crisis. A crisis where the voices of the people, the bedrock of democracy, are being dismissed by those in power. This isn't merely a local issue. It's a stark reflection of a national concerns about integrity, abuse of power, the respect for the democratic process, and the sanctity of our collective voice. When a decision made through the rightful channels of democracy is at risk of being overturned due to an alleged mistake, it undermines not just the decision itself, but the very principles of accountability, transparency, and respect for the electorate's will. We're not just advocating for a resolution. We're standing up for the very essence of democracy. For every vote to count, for every voice to be heard, and for the integrity of our decisions to be upheld. The actions to reverse the democratically passed resolution is not just unacceptable, it's an affront to our community and to democratic societies everywhere. So let us rally together, not as isolated voices, but as a united force, echoing the call for justice, for democracy, and for the respect of our collective will. Let us stand here today to be a beacon of hope, a testament to our unwavering commitment to the democratic principles that define us. Respect our voice, uphold the vote. Let this be our rally cry. Let it resound in this chamber, in the streets, and in the heart of every citizen who believes in the power of democracy. Again, I say, respect our voice, uphold the vote. With every repetition, let our resolve strengthen, our unity be solidified, and our message become clearer. Again, I say, respect our voice, uphold the vote. Today, tomorrow, and always for the 143rd Street decision, and for every decision where the voice of the people is at stake. In our impassioned appeal to the members of the Will County Board, we, the affected, stand in united defense of democracy and the fundamental principles of our constitutional republic. The controversy surrounding the proposed 143rd Street expansion transcends mere infrastructure concerns. It is a pivotal moment in our collective journey toward a more just and equitable society. At its core, the battle over Resolution 2427 symbolizes a struggle for the soul of our democratic fabric. The attempt to overturn this resolution strikes at the very heart of our democratic principles,
Ma'am, we got 3:30. I'm going to have you wrap up, please.
threatening to undermine the will of the people and erode the foundation upon which our nation stands. As citizens deeply invested in the integrity of our democratic processes, we refuse to remain passive witnesses to the disregard of our voices and the subversion of our decisions. We demand transparency, accountability, operational equity from our elected representatives, and as they are duty-bound to uphold the code of ethics they swore to abide by.
All right, thank you, ma'am. You're at 4 minutes now. So I'm
The
gonna have to
ethos
ask you
of
to
our
follow
rallying
those.
cry, respect our voice, uphold the vote, resounds with the echoes of generations who have fought tirelessly for this right to self-governance. It is a clarion call for every citizen who believes in the power of democracy, the sanctity of our constitutional republic.
Okay, no. Next. Okay, please, folks, this is a county board meeting. I know you got away with this last week. We have officers here who don't want to be here. And this is not because of us. They don't want, they are here to hear you. We have rules that the county board makes up. I am trying to follow the rules, all right? If there's, you guys know how to circumvent and get people to be able to speak louder. They don't want to have to remove you. They do not. So please don't, Judy, please. You're supposed to be the leader of this board. So please, okay, so please, we're trying to follow your rules. County Board Member Butler.
We suspend rules, and given that there's only a few people here that
They
we
can all
allow-
talk. No one's stopping them from talking. Okay, but suspend the rules for how long?
Until they're
Just
finished.
like- Okay, there's a
It's
motion
not
to
a large.
suspend.
It's not a large crowd.
I'm keeping to your rules. I'm trying to be consistent with the
understand
rules.
that.
So we have a motion to suspend the rules for people, seconded by Ogalla. I know we have to, how many? 3/4 suspend the rules, so we'll take the vote. Is there any discussions on that? We had a motion by Butler to suspend the rules, seconded by Ogalla. Madam Clerk, please call the roll. What do they need?
Balich? Yes. Trainier? No. Dean Schlottman? Yes. Van Dyne? No. Pretzel? No. Butler?
Yes.
Newquist? No. Richmond? Yes. Williams? Yes. Diaz? Yes. Winfrey? No. Coleman? No. Logan? Yes. Freeman? No. Revis? Yes. Berkowitz? Yes. Mueller? No. Costa? No. Ogalla?
Yes. 15, what do we have? Okay. Please add Diaz to the
Yep,
roll
we
call.
got it.
Thank you. So we have 10 in the affirmative, so the rules are not suspended, but people can still talk. You have 3 minutes to talk, ma'am. I'm ready whenever you are. I've been very lenient, too.
order.
I've been very lenient, yes.
Point of order.
Yes, sir.
So-
Hold on, yes.
The rule is based on the amount of board members that are here,
Is the,
and there's 19? And
Hold
we
on.
said it has to be are we going by 3/5 or are we going by a majority?
3/5.
Okay.
Either way, you would probably need 12. Either way, even if we weren't going, you need 12. We don't have it. So people can, we're still allowing people to speak. We're just asking them to be concise. So just please say your name. And like I said, I've been very lenient. I have.
We tried.
Thank you. Yep, it's on. It's on now.
My name is Christy Nasser. I own Chrisland Farm in Homer Glen. We're on 31 acres, and today they're talking about National Agricultural Day. I'm one of the farms in Homer Glen. If this 5 lanes goes through, I don't know if I'll be one of the farms in Homer Glen anymore because of it encroaching on my property and all my animals. I stand before you today dressed up in what I call my working clothes because I'm tired of trying to get cleaned up and coming over here. We all have lives. We people that are coming here to object to this 5-lane interference cutting through our nice community. So some of the people came today, some didn't, but we have lives and we can't keep coming here. We elected these people to represent the people of our community and it's not getting done. We will continue to keep coming to show you that we want our community to be safe and to eliminate this 5 lanes tragedy, this travesty coming through our nice community. It's dangerous. It'll encroach on my property. They'll take my fence down. It's dangerous to the community. So once again, I'm here standing in front of you to say, this is what I wear. I am a farm person, and I want you guys to understand that our community wants to stay the way it is, and we don't need to have 5 lanes cutting through with trucks going through that are overweight and speeders. Thank you.
Is there anyone else for public comments before we read the ones that have been sent in? Anyone else for public comment? All right. Madam Clerk?
Debbie Tavegia. I do not want an expansion. 143rd has hills and will cause major accidents with all the homes and subdivisions on 143rd. John Walters. It's been said that 143rd Street expansion has been planned for many, many years. Guess what? While you planned and planned this for many, many years, the state of Illinois beat you to it and expanded 159th. 143rd Street expansion is not needed anymore. Save the money for another project. How about a decent bridge over the river? The people have spoken, the board passed the resolution, the executive signed it, and now under some mysterious influence, the executive becomes a dictator and is going to overturn the whole system and veto it 3 days after she approved it. 3 days, why not 5 days or a week or a month or maybe even a year? I tell you why, because our system does not work that way. This was finished, a done deal over. Now here's my personal legal opinion. We hear a lot these days about a threat to democracy. It's a threat to democracy. This or that is a threat to democracy. He's a threat to democracy. This cannot stand because that's what this is. This is a threat to democracy. Thomas Paine said government, even in its best state, is but a necessary evil, in its worst state, an intolerable one. The people have spoken. This is a democracy, not a dictatorship. That's it.
At this time, all resolutions and orders from the February 15th, 2024 board meeting have been signed and returned with the exception of Resolution 2427, which has been vetoed by the county executive. County Board Member O'Gala.
First, I want to thank Kimberly Patty for the wonderful words that you read today, and it's a shame that everybody on this board does not hear them. So I would say, without acknowledging the veto, but following the procedure set out by the state statute, I make a motion to override the county executive's attempt to veto Resolution 2427. And I so move.
Motion to override the veto by Ogalla, seconded by Dean Schlaming. Can we have discussion?
You can have discussion.
I'm just, yeah, is there anyone? Oh, yes, I know, yeah. County Board Member Freeman?
Yeah, I was going to move to reconsider the veto, so thank you.
All right. County Board Member Butler? Sorry.
Yeah, given the fact that the veto, the resolution was signed off on, and I'm not going to argue whether or not it was, you know, a mistake or not. You know, if you say it was a mistake, you know, I will listen to that. But there's been plenty of times where people here on the board might have voted for something and then reconsidered that they had made a mistake, and it can't be changed. You can't rely on somebody making a decision saying they made a mistake after the fact. And the only difference here is sometimes you could make a mistake and it doesn't matter because the rest of the board voted on it. The difference here is the executive did not have to do anything because the board had already spoken and the majority was in favor of stopping the project. So there's not as even much pressure on the executive to own up to whatever, because a mistake can't be proven. But I would, you know, not say that you're lying, because I would give you that. But just for the sanctity of what we do here, once a decision made, it cannot go back on. And I don't think that you would share, or the executive would share the brunt of responsibility of any of this decision when the majority of the board had made that decision. So I really think that, you know, this veto, it should not stand. And I will be voting to overturn that.
County Board Member Ballage.
I just want to make a point that the veto is something that we do not acknowledge. And so if we do not acknowledge it because it became a law the second it was signed, and that's exactly where I feel and the rest of the board should feel.
County Board Member Berkowitz.
Thank you, Madam Executive. I want to point out an inconsistency. So we recently, and it's still in motion, have a solid concrete structure being demolished in the heart of downtown Joliet. This structure was determined by a previous board that it should be demolished. The current board, some of the members of the current board came forward and they wanted to save this concrete structure. We were consistently told that a previous board had exercised their vote and it should stand. We had to fight for reconsideration. There were things beyond our control and we lost the battle. And if you go over there, you will see a solid concrete structure being demolished. Now today, we have a county board that exercises its voice. This county board passed a resolution, bipartisan resolution, and now we're being told that our voice should not be listened to. This is an inconsistency. So when we are told one thing, but then it doesn't make another person happy when another issue comes forward, and we totally renege on the previous things we've said, what does that show our residents? It shows that we are not consistent. We are not working together, no matter where we sit in county board government, whether we're the board, whether we're the county executive. So as a result of this situation where we do not have county government working on the same principles to abide by the people of Will County, to be sustainable, to be equitable. Maybe we all need to come together and get on the same page and tell the people, what can they expect from us? Are they going to be able to get what they deserve, what they rightfully are entitled to as taxpayers and voting citizens? So I wanted to point out this inconsistency, and I hope people will try to be accountable to the things that matter, the reason why I got elected, the voice of the people, the voice of the taxpayer, the voice of any other issue you feel is important, sustainability, climate. These are all things, when I make a vote, that's why I cast my vote. So I'm very disappointed at the situation we're at today, and that we have residents that take the time out to come here to talk, and we bang the gavel and we threaten to escort them out of the courtroom. I'm very disappointed at this today, and I will continue to move forward. And at this point in time, I completely back what Chair Ogalla has brought forward, and I'm hoping that the rest of my county board members will support her as well. Thank you.
Thank you. County Board Member Mueller.
Thank you. I'm frustrated too. We talk about coming together and agreeing on something, and when this chamber started a year and a half ago, we came together and agreed on rules that are available to all of us to read, to understand the procedures in this room. And as soon as we don't like something, we decide we're going to suspend the rules rather than, you know, accommodating what we did all agree to in the beginning. Anyways, that being said, I would like to ask the state's attorney to elaborate, please, on what we received, the opinion we received in the email this week. Was it earlier this week?
Do you want County Pot? Who's?
I'm sorry. Let me look. I was going to look for the date.
Hold on.
It was a letter from. It's from Mr. Piles. The most recent one we received.
Thank
Friday.
you. Thank you. In response to the question, obviously our office has sent out a series of opinions relative to the various issues. And to summarize, and I read one at a committee meeting last week, essentially talking about the process that's involved here. To very simply summarize the process, in this particular case regarding Resolution 24-27, we had a vote by a majority of the board to change the project from a 5-lane to a 3-lane road improvement. That resolution was sent to the clerk, and for some reason, and I guess it's been done in the past, there was a signature by the clerk regarding the action of the board, and it was sealed. After that, it was sent to the county executive. Under 50-10, there has to be a valid passage and a valid approval of an ordinance or a resolution. The section is relatively clear that it says ordinance, resolution, motion. So the question of whether or not you can veto a resolution is exceedingly clear in section 50-10. The resolution was signed by the executive late Friday night, according to the statements and the materials that have been sent out. That approval was in error. It was mixed in with apparently with another resolution that had been entered in by expedited delivery. I don't want to get into how and what had happened, but the fact of the matter is that the executive did not approve of the resolution. And under 50-10, there has to be a valid approval. Later that night, according to the materials I've read, there was an email sent out to, I believe, county board leadership that indicated that the resolution had been signed in error that night. There had been no attestation or any witnessing of the executive's actions at that point. And that was according to an email sent later on in February by the clerk. Subsequently, on Saturday, February 17th, there was a veto message that was prepared and sent out by the executive indicating that the resolution 24-27 had been vetoed. After that had been done, there had been a request to our office to can something be executed or signed and then taken back and vetoed. I spent a lot of time. I read what I wrote. I did a lot of research on this issue, and I felt that an understanding of the law that's very clear, that's done in almost every other county here in Illinois, that in order to have a valid approval, there has to be a valid passage by the board. There has to be a valid approval of the ordinance or resolution, and then there has to be an attestation by the clerk witnessing the formalization of the resolution. It seems to me to be a very clear process. The clerk has indicated that she did not attest to the executive signature because it wasn't a valid approval and it had been signed in error. That was my opinion. That's the opinion of the office, and that's what has been sent out.
Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions?
Is that your, Madam County Board Member, are you satisfied? Okay. Do we have any questions of the state's attorney here? County Board Member Diaz.
I want to clarify. So it has never been stamped at all by the clerk's office at any point?
It was stamped. It was.
Thank you.
Well, hold on.
Yeah,
The attestation has to and deal with all of the actions, not part way. There has to be a valid formalization of the entire process. The clerk is the official record keeper, and it's the last stop.
Judy,
it's the last stop in the process.
He's yelling? Oh, I don't think it's, okay. Oh, okay. Well, okay. Is your question been asked, County Board? Okay, next we're going to move on to County Board Chair O'Gala. Yeah, well, and can he sit down?
He may. Thank you. So I'd like to state several things. Regarding the third opinion that we've received, the documents that are supporting this third opinion are far-reaching to support the opinion, such as the document for the treasurer. The treasurer has different things that come up every month for delinquent taxes that he has to process right away. And so those contain a document that has the word attest on it that goes to the bank. The resolution from the county board does not. It's just like our typical resolution where we have the clerk put down the information and go. The next supporting documents for this are county board resolutions, which, by the way, these documents are from 1999.
Okay.
No, Jennifer, I am speaking. I have the floor.
I know you do. Well,
you may not interrupt me.
I may interrupt.
Point of order. You may not interrupt me.
I'm going to tell you, we are talking about the override, whether or not we want to consider the override. So again,
okay, Jennifer,
I'm going to let you finish, but I'm just going to tell you, we are going to let you finish. But
Good.
We are talking about
point of order. You do not get to tell me what we're talking about.
I can.
I know what we're talking about.
Judy, I heard you from back here last week, pounding your gavel, telling people that you need to listen to you because this is your meeting, your meeting, your meeting. I am trying to be respectful in hearing people, but I'm telling you that we're talking about the override now. So focus on the override, please, and whether or not we're having. And I have you here, County Board Member. It's okay. Yeah. Okay, no, go ahead.
That's exactly right. I'm sorry. So when a board member asks the state's attorney to come up and give, that was not about the veto. So now that's opened the door to have a conversation, and I will continue. Thank you very much. So when the documents supporting the county board resolution were given to us, they go back to 1999, where we can see the clerk from that time did say attested to by the clerk. But since 1999, the next clerk so the clerk that had attested to is Jan Gould. She retired a long time ago. The next clerk, Nancy Schultz-Voots. The way she signs her documents are exactly the way we do them today and exactly the way our county clerk has done them today. That is the point here, that we have been following the process since 2000. There has been nothing that has changed at all. So I would also like to read some other things. Regarding all the other resolutions that will come forward today. The state's attorney hires counsel when he needs assistance, such as the landfill and negotiations. He even has an outside attorney to provide guidance on the executive form of government. The county executive gets to have a second opinion from the attorney she hires, who's sitting here with her today. The only group that does not get a second opinion is the county board. Demonstrating this is an obvious conflict. The county board is of the opinion that the signed resolution is valid, and the county executive believes the veto is valid. There's the conflict. The state's attorney had to go back, like I said, to the early 2000s to support this because the statutes and the case law are not clear. The state's attorney wants to act as the judge and jury and determine what positions should be upheld. They're advisory. State's attorney is advisory. The opinion received by the state's attorney from Ansel Glick back in 2005 stated that when ambiguities in the law cannot be resolved by the parties, the court system is available, and that is what we have been asking for. The state's attorney is preventing this from happening, therefore handcuffing the county board. So this isn't just about 143rd. This is about every single resolution that has been passed by this board since 2000 and the actions that were taken upon it. During the Champaign County lawsuit filed by the county executive against the county board due to an ambiguity in the lawsuit directly impacted Will County as the only other county in Illinois with the county executive form of government. The law firm that gave our state's attorney the opinion in 2005 represented the county board. The state's attorney in Champaign County agreed there was a conflict and allowed the county board to hire a prosecutor of their choice. The Will County State's Attorney filed a brief supporting the county executive's position in this lawsuit. Why didn't they support the county board? They could have. It's ambiguous. In Champaign County, the county board won that lawsuit. And finally, saying that we cannot direct another elected official to do anything. Generally, that is true. This is different because in this case, per the state's attorney, a statement that they are our attorney. They work for us. If we can't direct our attorney as to how we want to proceed, then we have nothing. Again, this is a situation where the state's attorney is handcuffing the county board.
County Board Member Pretzel.
Thank you, Madam Executive. So when I first heard that the resolution was vetoed, I thought to myself, okay, the executive has every right to do that. And, you know, we've had a lot of conversation about the rules today. My understanding was we're going to vote on that, and I was going to vote to override the veto. And, you know, let's see where the cards lie. But then at our executive committee meeting earlier this month, we had a member of the public come holding the resolution, which was signed. And that, to me, that changed everything for me. I thought to myself, somebody has the signed resolution, so that there is no opportunity for veto. This is a done deal. And I heard another member from the public come up here and say, was that a whoopsies, I think was the word, an oopsies? And I don't know. I ask you guys to all give some thought to that. This isn't about the 143rd Street project to me anymore. It's about, can we have a signed resolution and then change our mind a day or two or three later? Are we okay with that? And will you be okay with that when it's an issue that's important to you down the road? So I support Member Ogala's motion. I encourage you to do the same.
County Board Member Trenier.
Yes, I believe I heard it said here today that the state's attorney's opinion is advisory. That is my understanding of how any attorney works. They give advice. We don't have a legal right to order any elected official to do something. It doesn't matter what the thing is. We cannot order them to do anything, not by a vote, not by direction. His service to us is advisory. We don't have a legal right to go out and hire our own attorney. We don't even have a line item in our budget that was dedicated to legal fees. So I would like to get on with voting on the suggestion that we override this veto and move forward. Thank you.
County Board Member Butler, we have 4 more speakers, Butler, Freeman, Logan, Belge. County Board Member Butler.
So, first of all, I personally probably would not have cared about this project one way or the other. I'd never ride down that street. The only reason I care about it is because the people's properties and the people are affected by it. There's 116 people, and I believe it is my duty as a representative to protect their property rights, their civil rights and their civil liberties. That is paramount. That is our #1 responsibility. That's what we were elected for. So I just wanted to clarify that. And I also wanted to say that opinions are like, well, everybody knows what opinions are like. Everybody's got one, okay? Except us, right? Ours isn't important. Judges are the ones that make determinations of opinions. And we have no path to get to that without our own counsel. The state's attorney has taken a firm position against the people, and we need to represent the people. That's all I have to say.
County Board Member Freeman.
Thank you. I just have one very quick question. For Mr. Piles. Is the veto legal?
Valid.
I'm sorry.
Just answer the question, too. Yes or no?
I just think it's important to hear it.
You're on.
Yes.
Thank you.
County Board Member Logan. Oh, sure. He was. I heard him. Wait, hold on a second. Mr. County Board Member Butler, you have a question, you said? Yeah. All right.
If the veto is in question, and we brought this to court, would a judge be able to determine whether or not this veto was legal?
No.
Or not? A judge would not be able to make that determination.
Because
they interpret the law and distribute their judgment based on their knowledge of the law, and you're saying they cannot.
Illinois courts are not going to issue an advisory opinion.
Okay, you're speaking for the judicial system now. Is that correct?
I'm giving you our office's interpretation after conducting research.
Your interpretation of the,
Excuse us.
of
Let
the,
him
your,
finish
our,
his question.
your opinion of that, of what has happened. But in the past, we've gotten opinions from you about whether or not we could have our own minutes in our committees. And you said that state statute said that we had to have the clerk do our minutes with the county board. And then someone got up and said, are we following state statute? And you said no, when we were talking about having minutes done in committees. But I believe the statute was on county board, not committees, where there was final action and votes being taken, not in committees, which doesn't have that. So there's a little difference, there's a
Dan,
discrepancy.
I guess we're kind of losing. Your question was regarding whether or not
Yeah,
the court. So
my question is going to the fact that
yeah.
he is not a judge, and he should not be speaking for judges.
No, I think you question was whether or not the court would take up an advisory question and give an opinion on this. Is that what, that's how it? Oh, we got a lot of lawyers here. Go ahead, Dan, please read the question that you've been just given by your chief of staff. Okay, there you go. So you do have legal advice next to you there. Go ahead. You do have someone helping you legally.
We just want to know if a judge would give an advisory, a judge would rule We're asking if a judge could rule on the legality of this veto.
So my understanding and the research that our office has conducted, after the legislative process has been completed, and somebody is coming in to ask to have the ordinance or the resolution enforced, a judge could then look at what happened after the process has been completed.
And then it could be reversed.
Sure.
Thank you.
Hold on. Okay, County Board Member Bailey, do you have a question for the attorney?
Okay, is the state's attorney a judge?
No.
Okay, if the state's attorney's not a judge, and there's a definite conflict between the county executive's office and the county board, how can the state's attorney make a ruling based on an opinion that you're not a judge for? So you can't make, you're gonna give your opinion, and the whole board's supposed to listen to you and say yes, and bow down and say you're acting as a judge. Well, the fact of the matter is you're not a judge. You just said you're not a judge. No one on the state's attorney is a judge. Therefore, if there's a conflict, which there's a definite conflict here, definite, you got to be an idiot not to think it's a conflict. Okay, so if we don't have our own attorney, we're listening to you who we disagree to because you're not a judge. The only solution for the county board is to have their own attorney that could take it to court and let a real judge that can make a decision determine what direction we're going to go. And we may like it or we may not like it. I don't know. But the whole point is that just because the state's attorney's opinion is made, that's an opinion. I can talk to a bunch of lawyers, which I have. Every lawyer has their own opinion of how all this stuff goes down. Who decides? A judge. And you guys, the state's attorney's office, is denying us the opportunity to be represented properly. And I said this before, that the Constitution says, the U.S. Constitution says, we're supposed to be able to be represented properly, due process. Now, what happens here? Now, I'm asking you a question. You're saying, no way do we get a lawyer. No way. So you're acting as a judge, making a decision for us. Is that correct?
In our capacity as the state's attorney, we represent the entirety of the Will County legal government. And that included all the elected officials, the members of the board, executive's office, the county clerk, the treasurer. We represent everybody. And by statute, we are your lawyer. We represent everybody. I'm going to give an example. There was a suggestion made that today we could not reconsider the veto because there had been a scheduled meeting on March 5th that did not have a quorum. There's been a suggestion by the executive's office that that shouldn't take place because there had already been a regular scheduled meeting. Our office disagreed with the executive. We felt that there had not been a meeting. In that instance, is the executive then entitled to go out and get her own lawyer to contest what we said, that you guys should have an opportunity to consider the veto today? In that particular instance, again, looking at the law and doing the research, we felt that there was not a valid meeting on March 5th because there had not been a quorum. And you need a quorum in order to have a valid meeting. We disagreed with the executive's office on that and felt that everybody here today should have an opportunity to do the veto. They disagreed with us. We're not a judge, but we're here to give you opinions. We've been asked to give opinions. There's going to be disagreements with some of the things that we say. In this particular instance, we disagreed with the executive. We felt that you, as county board members, did not have a meeting, that you should be able to consider that veto today. The executive's office disagrees with that position. There's going to be disagreements with all, from time to time about something we think is the law. Under the rules of professional conduct, we have to, as the state's attorney, prosecutors, we really can't take a particular side. We have to tell you, we have to do the right thing. We have to follow the law. We've looked at this. I spent a lot of time working on this, and I'm giving you what I legitimately think should be the law in this particular instance, and I'm telling you what I think a court or a judge would do. And that's what a lawyer does. We try to advise you on what we think is the path to go. And that's what we've done here.
Well, I got a, Scott,
Okay,
Hold on.
the boss is coming up.
before you leave, Scott, I just had one other question
So
for
to
you.
be I want to finish answering your question.
Okay.
Which is, the term conflict is a legal term of art. There is no legal conflict here. You may feel that we don't side with you, but that does not create a legal conflict. And the case law is clear where there is merely a difference of opinion between elected officials, that is not enough to warrant the appointment and the expenditure of taxpayer dollars to get attorneys for both sides and spend hundreds of thousands of dollars going to court on an issue. There is no legal conflict of interest.
Well, Mary, you say there's no conflict of interest, right? So I say that I won't use the word conflict. We have an extreme disagreement that cannot be resolved without a judge's hearing.
It can
and the
be
judge
resolved.
makes
The
an
state's
order.
attorney has
So
issued
it's
an
not a
opinion,
conflict. You
and
want to
that's
say
the
that? I call it
resolution.
extreme disagreement. Nobody in this room is going to, there's two sides of this coin that nobody's going to switch their, everyone looks at it and says, hey, this is wrong. The county executive has a lawyer that works with her, and she's a nice lady. God bless her. If you guys say no lawyer to her, she got a
There's a
different lawyer she
statutory
can talk to.
provision that specifically gives the executive the authority to hire an attorney for her day-to-day operations.
And
If the
we
county
have
executive
in
were
our budget
sued
for
in the
county-
court of law, the state's attorney would represent the county
Our
executive.
budget and county board has a line item for professional services. So when somebody said, how are we going to pay for it from our budget? We have a line item for it. Now, the next thing is, we use the word conflict because that's a legal term evidently, but it also is a term that everyone really understands. It's a real simple term. If you look up a definition, I don't got an encyclopedia or a dictionary or any of that in front of me, but a conflict means I say something, you say something, we do not agree. So now, when you have a person or persons from the state's attorney's office that are advisory, and I will not agree, and the county executive will not agree, and it's not a small matter, it's a big matter, it affects the entire county moving forward. So now you're saying, well, we don't find a conflict. Well, there's a huge conflict. And anybody, a grade school kid can look at it and say, this is a conflict. And I'm not saying you're doing anything wrong with your opinions, but the appearance of those opinions is that you're biased. That's the appearance. I'm not saying you are, but the appearance. When I go out in the street, people are all thinking that. And why are they thinking that? Because they see a conflict. And to resolve this conflict, we need a judge. And it's not you guys, and it's not any other attorney, it's a judge. And you can see in these cases with judges, they don't always rule the way people would want. Or some people want it, some don't. But this case needs to go to a court of law where a judge makes a decision. And if it doesn't, that's going to put a big black cloud over the entire county for a long, long time to come. Because the people out there that are watching this and listening to it and following it, and it ain't only our county that's following it, there's other counties that are following this. And people are shocked that we can't get an attorney. People are shocked that there's an that the thing was signed and then it goes into law, then it gets a mistake made. People are shocked at all this stuff. And you guys can stand there and tell me there's no conflict. And so I'm not going to fight with you guys. You're nice people too. But the reality is, until a judge hears it, there's going to be a lot of trouble here. Because we're going to never, ever be able to believe what you guys say. So always, you're telling us something, is it true? Is it false? And then it becomes which side of the coin you're on, because we can't trust your opinion. And that isn't something that I want to see happen.
County Board, County Board member, are you, wait, there was no question. So, County Board Member Logan? Do you have a, no? Okay, question or just a comment? Can they sit down?
Oh, yeah, they can sit down.
All right, there you go. Next call. Go ahead, sir. Oh, can we let, since they're up, can you acquiesce to County Board Member Revis? He has a question. Oh, just go ahead, just stay there, Phil. Go ahead,
No, that's
County Board
fine,
Member.
that's fine. I do
Go
have a
ahead.
comment, maybe he can re-clarify, because I think he misspoke on something.
Okay.
I know the rules were brought up, so one of the things I do want to touch on is, someone said that this was signed late Friday night. As we all know, I'm a Facebook hound, and that was actually signed and published Friday afternoon on Facebook.
Published? Why was it
Yeah,
published?
well, it was put on, the signed resolution was actually on Facebook
Really?
Friday afternoon, so I don't know how it was signed late Friday night, so.
No, it was late
So-
in the workday. I don't
Oh,
know
late-
why it would be
late in the
published
work-
on Facebook
Late in the
either.
workday, so late Friday night means 3
No,
o'clock
it
in
was
the
late,
afternoon?
it was late workday. I don't know why it was, that we
Yeah.
notified
But it
them. I
was-
said, I don't know why it would
Someone
be
said
published on
late Friday
Facebook.
night, for me, that's like 11 o'clock at night on a Friday, so. I just want to clarify that that was a little misinformation there. And then also it talks about how other counties do it. We only have one other county in Illinois, and this might be for the general public, that actually has the same kind of government that we have. I'm all for vetoes. Vetoes can come at any time, so, and there is a process for vetoes. So let me read Champaign County's process for vetoes. One line. The county executive approves such ordinance, resolution, or motion, he shall sign it. If not, he shall return to the board with his or her objections. So it's really clear in their rules that if it's signed, it's signed. If it's not, it's not. I read everything I sign. Being in law enforcement for 20 years, if I'm not going to agree with something, I'm not going to sign it. So I just want to put that out there as well. And furthermore, I really don't want to see anybody lose their jobs over this mistake. So I'm done talking.
Thank you. County Board Member Coleman?
To call the vote or call the question?
We need a second with that. Second, we gotta take a roll call. Call the question. What do we need? We're voting to call the question. Or, I'm just gonna, before we go through all this, we have County Board Ogala, who would just like, if we can entertain and no one else does it, otherwise you wanna call the question. You want to call the vote? Okay. We are calling the vote, call the question. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Balich? Trainier? Dean Schlottman? Van Dyne? Pretzel? Butler? Newquist? Richmond? Williams? Diaz? Winfrey? Coleman? Logan? Freeman? Revis? Berkowitz? Mueller? Costa? Ogala?
No. 18 affirmative. We will call the question. We're going to go back to the original the motion was to override the veto motion by Judy Ogala, seconded by Dean Schlottman. Yeah. This is a vote to, motion to override the veto. Yes, yes. Okay, Madam Clerk, please call the roll. So,
Balich? Trainier? Dean Schlottman? Van Dyne? Pretzel? Butler? Newquist? Richmond? Williams? Diaz? Winfrey? Coleman? Logan? Freeman? Revis? Berkowitz? Mueller? Costa. Ogala. 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 to 9? 10, 9. 10, 9. 10 in the affirmative.
With 10 in the affirmative, the resolution 2427, okay, sorry. 10 in the affirmative, the override fails. Yeah. And the veto stands. 10 to 9. All right, we're now moving on to new business, where we have our DOT partners coming up here for our 2050 long-range transportation plan presentation.
Good morning, County Executive, Madam Chair, and County Board members. This morning, we're going to go through the 2050, give you an update. We did start this in September of last year. We've been working diligently on existing conditions, gathering data. So now is an appropriate time to let you know where we are at and where we're going to go so that you can be involved in as we move it forward. Just real briefly, the 2050 plan is by statute, we have to have a long-range plan. And we have done that in multiple years. We've had a 2020, 2030, 2040. Now the region has moved to 2050, and we are as well, which is why we are ultimately doing this. So I have the team here beside me. Mike and Rachel are the consultants that will be going through the bulk of this material here. Christina Kupkowski, to my left here, is our project manager. She's on staff in my office, so she's managing the 2050 plan as a whole. And the real details will be spoken of by the consultants here. So if you can, we'll get through the presentation. I know it's a few slides, but we want to make sure we have all the information to help you understand what is this 2050, as residents may come to you with questions as we move through the various public engagement processes. And so with that, I'll turn it over to the consultant team.
Great. Thanks, Jeff. Yeah, so like Jeff mentioned, we put together a PowerPoint slide deck here that we'll talk about what the plan is, and then we'll do a deep dive into community engagement in terms of how we've been getting everybody else involved. We'll then talk about some of the technical components, basically the existing conditions report, which is a big task, as well as the travel demand modeling. We'll then talk about next steps and then answer questions. Next slide, please. So first, we'll just talk about what a long-range transportation plan is. So it's a strategic document. It takes a comprehensive look at all modes of transportation, recognizing that transportation has a big impact on communities, the quality of life, as well as the economy. So the plan considers available funding, and it looks at goals, objectives. It's not a programming document, though. It doesn't dictate what the funding should be for specific projects. It does, though, help identify projects and look at funding sources for those projects. Next slide. So as Jeff mentioned, the long-range plans are typically prepared every 10 years. The last one for Will County, the 2040 horizon, was prepared in 2017. And we're going to be focusing on what's different from the last plan. So the big thing is we had a pandemic, and we've recovered from a pandemic. And then we also have the ongoing industrial warehouse development. So again, this is a strategic plan, and then it also integrates all the other plans that are either in process or have been recently completed. Next slide. So this was taken from our last virtual public meeting. We wanted to just recognize there's been a lot of work that's been done in Will County with these documents, and our plan will pull on information. There's some overlap from each of them, but the long-range plan is much more comprehensive and uses this information to help develop a framework. Next slide.
We were asked to do this, and I know most of the members are out there, so I wanted to make sure folks are here. We're missing half of your folks over there. So why don't we, if you don't mind, because I don't want to come back and say we don't know what a long-range plan is. So we're going to recess for about 4 minutes to let our friends on the. Okay, can I get a motion to? Motion to Mueller by seconded by Butler. All in favor? Any opposed? We will recess for 5 minutes and we'll start. So I'm sorry, I just realized, I mean, this is.
All right. Take it again.
Is that right? I said we're going to barrel through it unless you guys stop us. So we're going to go through it. That's a good question. I'll ask her if she really wants us to start again or just carry on. Yeah, there's probably 5 of them sitting out there talking about the Homer Glen residents. So it's like, come on.
I think part of it is, the tours will be 15 in November, so it was quite a lot. That is a lot. It's a lot. But it is. Yeah, totally. The social norms around touching. Yeah. 15 years ago, the social norms around touching were much different.
Now you have my full attention.
Yes, no problem. Although my favorite question when I tell people I have a niece and a nephew, I have twin niece and nephew. They're like, are they identical? Yes, my twin niece and nephew are identical. And normally they have to, I get this quizzical look and I'm like, it's a boy and a girl. No. No, my sister has twins. My sister, they turned 14 in November, and so I was just telling her.
Well, thank you again. I feel We're talking about the long-term plan. It was put on the agenda by the chair, so I know she feels this is important. So I just want to make sure we've all taken our break and we can have our consultant. So will you please continue? Thank you very much. We're still not all here, but we're a little better.
All right, so just moving forward, we were left off, we were just talking about the goals, like what the long-range transportation plan will ultimately do. So it helps shape the goals and objectives, identify funding sources, and define priorities and metrics. So we're looking for ways to like measure the differences between projects that are getting identified. And part of that too is with the travel demand modeling, and so that model then helps us evaluate projects. And then, of course, we'll be developing short and long-term recommendations. Next slide. So here we have an overview of just how the schedule overlays with our major tasks within the engagement. So you can see we started in September, and we've been working on the existing conditions, which is really important because it helps establish that baseline snapshot of like what the county has right now. And so we're in the process of finalizing those existing conditions. We'll then move into preliminary recommendations this summer. And then towards the end of the year here, we'll get into the draft plan. And then next year, we'll look at in terms of finalizing the draft plan and then moving forward with finalizing the plan in August of 2025. You can see along the bottom here, we have three major waves of community public engagement, which is really important because we want everyone to contribute to this. We just don't want it to be technical analysis. And with that, I'm going to pass it to Rachel.
Thank you. Hi, all. We can go 2 slides ahead since the next one is just kind of a section divider. But I want to share with you what we've been doing in this first wave. So we just finished up this first wave of engagement. All of the things that we did in this first wave include advisory committee meetings, agency meetings, focus group meetings. We launched a website, ourwaywill.co, and communication strategy along with it. We had an online survey, an online mapping exercise, pop-up meetings, and a virtual open house, or 2 virtual open houses. So I'm going to speak to each of these in a little bit more detail. Yeah. Sure. Is that better? Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm going to speak to these in all more detail, so you didn't miss much. In the next slide, so I mentioned Our Way Will is the website that we put together, ourwaywill.co. Ourwaywill.com also works. We had 2 major communication pushes to try and get the word out about this project. So the first one was focused around the survey that was live and some of the pop-up workshops that we were hosting around the county. And the second was about the virtual open houses. So to get the word out, we distributed communication packets to stakeholders and partners across the county. Those included social media posts, flyers and posters, and newsletter content. We also had posters on the PACE bus routes, the Heritage and Fox Valley bus routes that advertise the project, how to get involved, and any upcoming opportunities. And then we have been collecting collecting emails through the website as well for anyone who is interested in participating. So we had been sending out email blasts as well to website subscribers. So on the next slide, we have some high-level numbers from this first wave of engagement. We've had around 3,100 website visitors since the project launched. We've had 600 people engaged at pop-up workshops. So that's us going to an existing event, tabling and sharing information, and around 888 survey responses completed. So on the next slide, the pop-up meetings, we really do these to meet people where they are. We find that engagement for online surveys skews and doesn't capture a very diverse demographic of the population. And so we tried to identify events around the county that were diverse in geographical scale and in terms of who was attending. Most events this time of year happened around the holidays, so we had our kind of holiday setup at the tables, tried to make it fun. We had a spin wheel, but we're also asking real questions about what are your, we have transportation priorities for the next, for 2050, what goals are most important to you? And really phrasing them in a way that is accessible to the public and also in Spanish and in English. So we were at the Joliet Light Up the Holidays event, China Holidays, the Peatone Craft and Vendor Fair, and the Plainfield President's Day event. So on the next slide, we had, at all of these events, we had a jar exercise where we asked people to kind of vote between, or like cast, they got 3 coins. So they got a gold coin for their highest priority, silver for their second most priority, and bronze for third. And they distributed those points among jars. So the highest priority items were improving safety for all modes. So for drivers, for bikers, for walkers, transit riders, improving quality of life, expanding transportation choices beyond driving, and improving access to destinations. So those were kind of the top 4 priorities that came out of this exercise among all of the pop-up workshops that we attended. We also, on the next slide, had an online survey that I mentioned that was open between November and February. Nearly all of the respondents used a car to get around on a regular basis, but a lot of people, 43%, would like to bike more often if there were improvements made, and would like to take the train more often if there were improvements made. So there is you can look at some high-level analysis of the survey online right now on the website, and we're putting together an engagement summary that goes more in depth of what we heard from all of our engagement to date. The last thing I'll speak about in a little bit more depth is the virtual open houses. So on the next slide, we hosted 2 virtual open houses. The first one was after work hours, and the second one was during lunch hours. So we try to schedule them at times that are going to be accessible to the most people. We had 53 attendees. They were designed both to inform people of what the project is about, but also to have more in-depth conversations. So we did breakout groups around themes, whether it was bike and pedestrian connectivity, public transit, freight movement, and road safety, and used an interactive tool called Miro, where people could post comments during the workshop as well as after to, both upvote each other's thoughts on, what are the biggest problems in our county and as it comes to roads and how we address them, what are the biggest opportunities. So we got a lot of great feedback from that as well. And then finally, we had stakeholder engagement. So on the next slide, we've had meetings with transportation agencies, nonprofits and associations, and focus group meetings with villages, townships, and municipalities across Will County. So we wanted to capture that both the urban needs of the county as well as the rural needs of the county. And on the next slide, we had some key themes that came out of those conversations. Bike and pedestrian safety and connectivity was one, managing truck traffic and increasing enforcement, looking into funding opportunities for local roadway improvements, expanding multimodal options were all some of the things that we heard from different focus groups. So with that, I'm going to pass it back to Mike to talk about existing conditions.
Great, thanks, Rachel. So yeah, you can just, next slide is just a cover for the existing conditions. You can go to the next one here. So as mentioned, we're looking to establish the existing baseline conditions here with this report. It is very heavy on technical analysis, but also pulls on community engagement as well. And it looks at data sets across all different levels, from like local, regional, state to national, just in terms of like providing comparisons and looking at trends. There's lots of topics in the existing condition report, but it includes socioeconomics, the roadway network, the transit and passenger rail, non-motorized travel, and freight movement, just to name some of the bigger ones. And the report's underway, and again, will be completed in a couple months, and then that draft report will be made public for comment. Next slide. So here we have some socioeconomics information. And again, these are just examples of some of the data sets that are being looked at here. So we're looking at how will county residents get to work, and you can see a couple different 5-year time spans there from the census data, but basically it's showing that like from the pandemic to now, there's been some shifts. So we have, even though driving is still the main mode of transportation, that's dipped from about 83 to 76%. And then the work from home percentage has increased, going from 5 to 12%. Then that map there just shows where there's some areas in the county where people have less access to driving or owning a car compared to the transit facilities. Yeah, sure. So it's, I don't have my glasses on me, but it's kind of like a heat map that shows the percentages of like which pockets in the county have less access to a car. And so like the darker colors there have the greater percentage. I think it goes up to about 25% access to not having a car. Yeah.
On the next slide where you talk about in socioeconomics, and you've already mentioned it, you know, the number of people coming in Will County versus the number
Sure.
of people going out. How do you get that data?
So it's census data, yeah. And so we're comparing it from the last plan, which was prepared in 2014, to most of the census data is actually 2022 numbers. But like as we're working on the plan, if we see those 23 updates, we'll switch that out and make it sure it's the most current before the plan is finalized here. But yeah, so that's the next slide gets right to it in terms of like commuting patterns, and so it. It's
Yeah.
Different?
there are 2 or 3 revisions that have happened, but it's like majority the same.
Okay, can, after this, can you send us the revised document?
Oh, well, you guys have to remember, we're
What you have
on
attached to the agenda.
live here, so. yeah.
What you have attached to the agenda should be the one that we're seeing on the screen and the one he's using. I'm not
Okay,
sure-
what page, this is page 20, okay,
Yes.
maybe I just have it wrong here. Okay, great, thank you. I found
Sure.
it.
Just remember to please press your button so I can nod and you get your mic on.
Yeah, so this is looking at like at commuting patterns, and so like that in the lower right there, that blue swirl, that's comparing residents that live in Will County and work in Will County. That percentage has increased about 8% from the previous long-range plan. And then towards the left of that, the inflow. So that's the biggest growth that we've seen in terms of the residents that live outside of Will County that are working in Will County. That's increased 25%. And then towards the right there, that outflow, that's still the biggest volume in terms of a lot of residents. The majority of residents live in Will County, but work outside Will County. And that's had a modest increase of about 2%. Next slide. So then this is just an overview of the transportation network. We're looking at the roadway classifications, jurisdictions, volume, safety metrics, and then also just the overall condition of the transportation infrastructure. Next slide. And again, just we got some more examples here of the data set. So this is transit and passenger rail, specifically honing in on Metra and PACE. So there's 4 Metro lines that extend into Will County. We're providing a comparison here of the ridership numbers to the Burlington Northern Line, which is Metra's highest utilized rail line located just north of the county. But you can see that in general, the ridership numbers are running at about 40% of what they were pre-pandemic in 2019. And that's pretty uniform across all the lines. And then we're just showing some of the PACE highlights too. PACE has 21 fixed bus routes in the county. And we're showing a couple there that have the highest ridership and how they've been trending in the county. Next slide. So then we wanted to touch a little on travel demand modeling. Next slide. We created this, our traffic engineers had some fun creating this diagram here. This is just trying to explain a little bit deeper, like all of the different things that go into the modeling in terms of like what it is. So this is Joe. He lives in Romeoville, and he's got some decisions to make because he has to work downtown that day. And so it's just a diagram to show all the different things that factor in. Like what's the mode, what's the route, what's the weather, what's the total cost of the trip, et cetera. And so the travel demand modeling then is something that can be, once it's established, it considers land use, development density, and changes in the roadway as well as the transit networks. Next slide. Again, this just shows that the travel demand modeling can be used throughout the entire process here. It helps, it's informed by the existing conditions. It takes in advice from the community to help look at recommendations, and then helps inform the draft report at the end. Next slide. So we wanted to just talk a little bit further. We are creating like a new travel demand model for Will County here, and it's building off of CMAP's model. You can see CMAP's model on the left there. We're basically creating a lot more zones, and so this gets more accurate because it just, all the exact locations of the housing, the businesses, and everything like that, it's a tighter degree of accuracy. Next slide. So we're nearly done establishing the existing model. You can see the green dots there in the middle. We had 150 counts that we are almost done completing. Those line up with the screen lines in the model. Those screen lines are used to measure the flows that go in and out of the county at the various sections. And next slide. Okay, so we'll just get into next steps. You can go to the next one. So we've got an advisory committee meeting coming up on April 22nd. We're going to be looking to share the existing conditions report, also talk about how we're further refining the goals, and then that existing conditions report will be made, the draft report will be made public this coming spring. So, but that pretty much wraps up our summary, so questions?
Any board member, Van Dyne, go.
Thank you all for the presentation. My question is, it seems to me that you've made every attempt you can to engage the public in this 2050 plan. As a board member, if I feel like that's not enough, what is your suggestion to me to make sure that every resident in my district is well aware of this plan and I can get feedback from them?
That's a great question. Well, for one, we consider you all to be ambassadors of the plan, so we can help provide information to you to help share this with others. If you feel that others aren't aware of the plan or should be aware or have special interest in certain components, we can help provide those materials. And you know, Rachel, if you've got something else.
Yeah. So this next wave of engagement will likely be happening early in the fall, where we'll be asking the public for their input on early recommendations, early findings. And so welcome all of your support to help us get in touch with your constituents. You know, we've been working with the county's office as well as, you know, advertising on Pace buses and some, you know, boosted social ads, but you have the direct connection. So the more that you all as county board members can do to share materials through your newsletters and through social media is really helpful.
Appreciate that. Thank you. I'll take you up on that.
Yeah.
County Board Member Trenier.
Thank you. You made me chuckle just a little bit when you said newsletters. First off, there are no newsletters from the county board members unless they pay for them out of their own personal pocket. And as far as I know, at this time, and I could be wrong, I'm the only one that has done that on this current board. So we don't have newspapers in Will County. There is the Herald News that's distributed mostly in Joliet. I live in probably the most densely populated district. We had at one time as a high, a 1% readership of the Joliet paper. So just to kind of give you a clue about how things go. And, you know, I got a Facebook page for the 2 people that look at it every once in a while. But my question goes to the planning for these. I know we have a policy, and this question is probably more for Jeff, about sidewalks and bike paths. It's a fairly new policy, I think, because when Weber Road was last redone in the northern part of Bolingbrook, there was no sidewalk installed through the wetland area or on the other side, either side of the road. And that's a big concern for me. So I'm hoping that as you're going through this, I know you mentioned, you know, the interest in bike paths and sidewalks. I hope that we're making plans that we're going to do these things, because it's a real safety hazard in my community that we don't have anything there. And so I just want to make sure that we're looking at that as we go forward with these plans.
Yeah, the team has been discussing bike for amongst themselves throughout this plan, taking the feedback from municipalities of where they would like to see it or think they need it. And so we're going to incorporate all those comments into the plan and show where the municipalities or public want these items. And we're going to share the plan at the end, and it will be up to those municipalities to actually implement where they want a bike path. Now, when we
But
have
if
a
it's our
project,
road.
when we have a project in the municipality that's ours, we do right up front talk to those municipalities and ask them, do you want this and how to participate? So we have those discussions on our projects. We have no control, of course, over what municipalities will do on their own roadways. But in the end, this plan is going to consider all that feedback and have recommendations. I mean, we're not the ones that are going to be instituting the bike paths ourselves, other than where our projects are at. We'll have that partnership with the municipalities. So we are considering it.
I think back to the 95th Street extension and how the municipality removed the sound wall from that project, even though the residents voted for it, and it was their right to vote for it. Now, I know that law has changed, but I would just like us to give due consideration. If it's our road, that maybe even if it's in a municipality, we ought to consider sidewalks and bike paths, because I notice more and more, and a lot of it started during COVID, but people walk a lot, more so than they ever did before COVID-19.
Sure.
They walk for exercise, they walk for entertainment, they walk for health reasons, they walk to work. So.
And with the policy that you referenced earlier about that was passed several months ago, there will be more participation from the county in those facilities, 50% in the developed area. So the county is willing to partner, but I mean, the municipalities have to do it as well. So
Sure, no,
the opportunities will be there.
I understand, but if it's our road, thank you.
And I'm going to make, this material, we do forward it to the county board staff. I know sometimes it gets lost in a lot of things, but, I think we're going to, I do think it's important that we give this to I think we can all agree that letting the community know about these things is very important. That's why we do a very active role in making sure we get people's opinions and getting feedback and asking them to go to places. I'm going to encourage you to we can work with you if you want to set them up in your districts too at some certain event. We spread them out. You mentioned the 4 places that we helped set up, but work with your county board partner and set up a meeting with your county board partner in your area. So again, we can make sure people have some input on this. So that's just another,
Yeah. Some of them are cameras. Some of them are radar units, which are more like black boxes. But so it's like a combination depending on if it's a corridor or at the intersection. So we did kind of about a half and half ratio. That was just to supplement information that we had from IDOT and Will County to get those border lines established so we could see the trends that were happening as people were coming in and out of the county and progressing through it.
County Board Member Revis.
So thank you guys for the presentation. I think this is great. So this advisory committee meeting number 2, April 22nd, 11 a.m. This is for me to bring some of my constituents in with us, or is this stakeholders? Who is the target audience for that?
Yeah.
Honestly, we have made a concerted effort to get a cross-section of our county governments, municipalities, townships. There are Will County departments that have been invited that are a part of it. And so we really are looking at this as a cross-section of our partners. So it's really a stakeholder involvement type thing. So that's really where this is going.
Would you need like individual county board member help to make sure that we get our, government stakeholders from our districts to attend this, or you think?
No, this is by invitation.
This is by invitation.
This is actually an advisory committee that we have reached out through discussions with Will County Governmental League and the township coordinators and
Sure. So is this an invitation for us to come? This isn't our invitation.
Short answer is no. Your time
Okay.
will come.
Okay, got it, all right. And then, secondly, I do think, the executive's idea of having like, you know, a meeting with our community, you know, based on the 2 county board members from each district. So, you know, Mike, I hope I'm not speaking for you, but I think we should do one in our, neighborhoods. So, thank you.
County Board Member Berkowitz?
Thank you. So I've got a couple questions, but I also want to share with you some feedback. So one of the few roads I have in my district is Napier Plainfield, and Jeff and I have spoken about it frequently. And I want to thank you, and I want to recognize the job that the county did to improve that stretch of road through my district. It's incredible. I love it, with the exception of, and here it comes. So it was expanded from a 2-lane to a 4-lane. Since that point in time, it has become a speedway. Just the flow has increased, the speed has increased. And I think because it's a nice, beautiful, smooth surface, and it is relatively dark, it just, I travel it all the time, and it's like, okay, press on the gas, because the guy behind you is right on top of you. But, and unfortunately, since we did widen the road, we have had 2 separate fatalities, one just recently, and they were separate accidents. And they were both in an intersection. So my concern with the safety in my district is I'd like to see if we could look at putting some type of a median in the middle between north and south moving traffic, like we have when you pass 87th Street. Just something to address this, because again, 2 fatalities, we know you just can't help but think that that possibly could happen again. It is an unfortunate situation that concerns us. And we can't make any more, the road is beautiful, but it has brought these conditions. So, and driving at night, Jeff, they reacted quickly when I expressed some concern about the marking. Markings are bright, they're great, but at night, it's, unless you're familiar with that road, it is difficult. You know, the cars coming head on almost look like they're in the same lane as you. So that's one thing I wanted to share with you, and how do I get that in the plan?
Yeah, when we have the, I mean, you can actually, the website's up now, so I invite anyone to go to the website and put comments in there, and they will be considered as part of the plan. But there are certain points as we get forward, moving forward, when the draft plan comes out, to put, everyone will comment and add their opinions on where do we need improvements here or there. That would definitely be the place to do it. That way it gets put into the record. I mean, this is a record, of course, but it needs to be in part of the process. So when we get to that point, make that comment.
Okay.
I can't speak at the moment as to why there was no meeting there. Then there was a phase 1 process for that, and cross-sections were proposed to communities, and that's what was decided at the time. So if the county board wants to go a different route, we can always consider that, but that would be the time to do it. So in the fall, I think, is really the real next push for when the community will comment on the draft plan. So that would be the time to do that.
Okay, so I'll wait for your cue on when I can go ahead and do that. Second question, I participated in the telephone meeting. It was maybe a year ago or maybe a year and a half ago. It was a great opportunity to listen about the plan and ask questions. Here's my question. Is there a newsletter that people can sign up, either through the county or even IDOT, that can sort of prompt them and keep them engaged?
Yeah, so on the, I'm not sure the meeting a year ago, if that was this plan or not, because our meeting was a little bit more recent, our public meeting.
Okay.
But on the website, ourwaywill.co, you can sign up for email updates, and every time there's a new engagement opportunity, we send out an email about it. So I would encourage you to go to the website, sign up for email updates,
Okay.
and we will also be coordinating with you all. We have 4 workshops that we're planning on doing this fall around the county, so we'd love to work with you and your constituents and your communities to plan where those can happen at the time and place to get the most engagement.
Thank you.
We have two more comments here. County Board Member Logan.
All right, so I don't know whose question this is for, who can answer this, but on the heels of what just happened a little while ago, when you say stakeholders, you're talking about the residents that are affected by like an expansion?
Stakeholders in general, when we speak about it in my world, my planning world, stakeholders are other agencies like PACE, Metro, municipalities, townships. When we then go and talk about public engagement,
Okay.
that's when that's everybody else.
Okay, so that would be like the residents, the mayors.
That'd be the residents.
So, okay, so now I'm conflicted a little bit. So what am I supposed to tell the residents when they put their feedback in and it gets dismissed and projects still move on?
Well, this is, as we said, this is going to set projects that we'll need for 2050, and it will be up to the county board to execute which ones we move forward with.
So what if the county board says no to a project, but it still continues then?
I don't know what you mean by that, because you are the ones that will establish a contract for me to follow.
Okay. But I just thought I'd ask that. Thanks. I knew the answer. Thank you.
Great. County Board Member Butler.
So I can appreciate your plan. It makes perfect sense when trying to figure out how to plan for the future. I just would like to know that when we are dealing with projects that impact people's properties, that we actually go out to those properties and have contact with them before we decide to spend money, and that should be a strong consideration in any projects we do. And I don't know, I know there's public listings and we put the onus on the people to hear it and come to the virtual meetings and stuff like that. But the only stipulation I have is that I believe when you're taking people's properties or taking portions of their properties, that it should be on us to actually reach out to them and contact them and get a response. That way we don't get into this, we spent $7 million planning something, and then the people didn't, want to do it, but because they didn't listen to a notice or see a sign. I mean, I get that when it's someone wants to build a shed on a little closer to their property line and someone doesn't answer a public notice, I get that because it really doesn't impact their property directly. But I just would like to think that, since you make up this whole system of figuring this stuff out, that figure prominently in your planning.
Question or a comment?
It's a comment.
Okay.
All right. All right, we don't look like we have any other questions or comments. Thank you very much for coming. We appreciate it. We're now going to move on to land use and development. Chair Pretzel.
Thank you, Madam Executive. I'd like to make a motion to open public hearing for all land use cases.
Second, Berkowitz.
Motion by Pretzel, seconded by Berkowitz. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Balich?
Yes.
Trainier? Dean Schlattman? Van Dyne? Pretzel?
Yes.
Butler? Newquist? Richmond? Williams? Diaz? Winfrey? Coleman? Logan? Freeman? Revis? Berkowitz? Mueller? Costa? Ogella?
We are now in public hearing. Please be advised, absolutely no new evidence or information will be allowed once this land use public hearing is closed. Do we have anyone here from the public who would like to speak on any of our land use cases? Again, when you come up, please state your name, and to help our county board members, please identify what ordinance you are referencing.
Good morning, Madam Executive, Madam Chair, members of the board. My name is Pat Wojtek. I'm an attorney with the law firm of Sawson, Arnold & Schoenbeck. I'm here with my client today, and this is on zoning case ZC 24003. The address of the property involved is 20029 Graceland Lane in Frankfort. This is a special use application relating to Zion PLLC. That's the company that will be operating a shared housing establishment at this location. So we are requesting a special use permit for a similar or compatible use to a permitted use in the underlying zoning district. We are seeking to permit up to 4 senior residents that need assistance with activities of daily living to reside in the home under the care and guidance of staff. This is a single-family home that is currently in the R5 zoning district. Now, as defined, group care homes in the county are all permitted uses within all residential zoning districts. The Will County Code defines a group care home as, quote, a dwelling shared by persons with disabilities who live together as a single housekeeping unit in a long-term family-like environment in which staff provides care, education, and participation in community activities for the residents with the primary goal of enabling the resident to live as independently as possible. Now, previously when we had applied, staff had determined that our proposed residents would not meet the definition of disabled, but staff had agreed or recommended that we seek this special use permit for a similar or compatible use as we were operating similarly to that of the definition of a group care home. So Zion and its owner is here today and she'll speak next. But they have also applied for a license from the state of Illinois and the Illinois Department of Public Health to operate as an assisted living under the Assisted Living and Shared Housing Act as a shared housing establishment. So Zion will provide long-term, safe, and comfortable home in a family-like environment for all area seniors that are apply and admitted to the home. And one of the primary goals is to enable these senior residents to live as independently as possible while receiving the assistance from staff. So before someone can be admitted, each proposed resident has to be evaluated by a physician, and that physician must evaluate them and determine whether or not they meet the qualifications and they don't have any of the limitations as prescribed by the Act. There is a specific section within the Act, Section 75, that has 15 different items that limits a person from being approved and living in this type of a home. For example, an individual who poses a threat to him or herself cannot live in the home. If a person requires total assistance with 2 or more activities of daily living, they cannot live in the home. If the person has a severe mental illness, they cannot live in the home. And the Act also sets forth that these are not halfway houses for substance abusers. Within our materials, there is the actual physician certification form that the physician has to complete and fill out for each resident. It outlines the qualifications and limitations under the Act. Not only upon being admitted to the home must the physician certify the person, but annually the person must be reevaluated by the physician to allow to stay in the home. After that evaluation, and if the person passes with the physician, a written service plan is created, and that must be followed by the operator and the staff. The home will be staffed 24/7 by a Zion staff member. They will provide a number of different services as provided in the Act, including but not limited to personal care assistance, assistance with meal preparation, housekeeping and laundry services, medication management, and they will also coordinate activities and social programs for the residents. Staff has to be certified by the Illinois Department of Public Health, and they must participate in ongoing training. Staff must also pass the healthcare worker background check before being allowed to serve in the home. Also, before being granted the license by the state, the Illinois Department of Health will conduct an on-site review of the home and of the residents to ensure compliance with the requirements and the standards that set forth in the Act, in the Code, and the Americans with Disabilities Act. Thereafter, the IDPH will conduct annual inspections of the home. The home does and will satisfy all the requirements in the Will County Code and other state rules and regulations that have been advanced and that implement the Act. For example, there's a minimum square footage requirement per resident that has already been assessed and it has been met. There is a 1 bathroom per 4 resident requirement that has been met. There are parking requirements. It is 1 space per 1,000 square feet. This home is 1,200 square feet. It has a 1-car garage, so that is 1 parking spot, and it has a single driveway, so that's a 2nd parking spot, so we meet that requirement. Residents will not have cars themselves. Only staff members will have a car. There also will be visiting hours that are going to be established to minimize traffic to the area. Finally, more than anything, Zion wants to fulfill the purposes that are set forth in the act, and those in part are to provide shared housing that promotes the dignity of its residents, to provide for the health, safety, and welfare of its residents, to encourage family and community involvement for our aging population, and to allow the residents to age in place within the framework of the act and all applicable law. Thank you for your time and your consideration today. If there's any questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Vivian Adelagan. I am a registered nurse. I'm also a lawyer. My specialty is in health law. As you may know, our parents are aging longer. They're not dying at the age of 50, 60, 70 anymore, and that's a blessing. And because of this reason, and especially since COVID, the nursing home has been oversaturated. Things have not really been the same. And to provide a good quality of life for our seniors, things like a residential assisted living home in a residential setting is emerging. And so I decided, because my passion is geriatrics care, I spent a lot of time with my grandma, and she's absolutely wonderful. She's late now. And I wish we had things like this to help our seniors age in place. So this particular property is a ranch home, and I chose this area because of the quietness, the fact that it's very serene, it's very close to public library. It's a beautiful space. And this is something that I have a passion for. And rest assured, the seniors in the area would have somewhere to call home and not having to be shipped to a nursing facility where things are kind of oversaturated, overfilled, and they're not receiving the care that they need. For my 4 residents, there will be a caretaker that will make sure that all the activities of daily living is being attended to in a loving and home-like environment. We've been down this road many times. It's been quite interesting. I've learned so much along the way, but I rest assure you that this is going to be a beautiful adventure, and your seniors will be in good hands. I am originally from London, England. And the kind of family that I grew up in, we believe in providing care for our seniors. They've given us so much. And how much more can we give back to them in return to say thank you for all the hard work that they put into raising all of us? Thank you.
Thank you.
Morning, everyone. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Rich Terlowski, the owner of Misty Hill Vineyard in Custer Park. We are actually number 6 on the agenda. Yeah. We are a licensed first-class wine manufacturer with the Illinois Liquor Commission, and we make some awesome award-winning wines. There's been a lot of excitement about this project. We've heard a lot of great compliments, and people are really looking forward to it. We're amazed by the overwhelming support that we've gotten for it, including our township board, the Farm Bureau, local park districts, members of the board, and even the Liquor Commission has complimented us on this project. I'd also like to take this opportunity to commend the Land Use Department. They have been exceptional in their help with this project. They've been so helpful with their guidance and advice. I'd like to point out Brian Radner, Owen Needham, Marguerite Kenny, and Ashlyn Kirby. They have been phenomenal in their job in helping us out. And I thought you all should know that. So the reason we started growing grapes on our property is we found that the soils on our property are perfect for growing grapevines. These soils are throughout the Kankakee River Valley. We're actually 2 miles from the Kankakee River. Those soils are throughout the valley and miles from its banks. Now, this whole area has a potential to become its own AVA. Now, what an AVA is an American viticulture area. which is established by the federal TTB. Now, if any of you have been to the Shawnee Wine Trail or Michigan Wine Country, you're probably familiar with that. Those are AVAs, and they are huge tourist destinations. But we found that this project has been very restrictive. We're under the same guidelines and restrictions as like a big box store. And I'm not being critical of the process that we have to go through. I'm all for commercial codes and public safety and all that, but it's been quite a chore, and between architects, civil engineering, soil tests, and all the fees and permits. And I was just, I brought it up at the other meetings, and I thought maybe there is a way that the county can make this a little easier for landowners to get into this industry by giving them some kind of a agricultural exemption or something where the rules and restrictions would be a little easier for a small project like this. But that's, you know, that's just my thoughts. I'd like to clarify some rumors about the project too. This is not a banquet hall where hundreds and hundreds of people will be in attendance. And this is not a rowdy bar roadhouse where there's going to be drunks having fistfights and driving over people's lawns. No, that is not true. Anyone who thinks that has never been to a tasting room. This is a small boutique winery where someone could come in, taste our product, perhaps have a glass sitting out on the patio overlooking our scenic vineyard, and hopefully buy a lot of product before they leave. So there was some concessions made. One of them was about the hours of operation. Now, on our original information packet when we applied for the permit, we put 12 to 12, or I'm sorry, 10 to 10. And we never intended to be open 12 hours, 7 days a week. The reason we put that was there was we were going to differentiate between public hours and private hours. Now, the public hours were established during the zoning meeting. And the land use meeting, we discussed it more about private hours. And the committee agreed to give us the mornings for a few hours to accommodate private events. Now, those private events are going to be mostly held inside. And the reason we wanted that is we found we had a lot of interest in local organizations like the Township Board, local park districts, and even the Farm Bureau, in which people can come to our place and use the facility for a private meeting. Because I did hear comments that there's nothing like that around where we're at. So it would really be a benefit for the community. The hours are a small benefit for us, but I believe it's a bigger benefit for the community as a whole. There was one neighbor that did oppose this. There were a lot of claims and assumptions made. We were able to disprove all of it, including a nasty petition that went around. But now that's all for public record, and I don't know if anybody looked into it, but if you have a chance, look into it. Now, to sum it all up, I believe that this project is the beginning of something big. And I believe that it would be a benefit to local economies, a boon to local property values, and just an overall improvement on the area quality of life. If we had acres and acres of vineyards out there, it would be pretty eye-appealing for everybody. Now, there's a lot of landowners that are giving up their land for solar farms. And I'd just like to say that there are other ways. There are other things that they can do that can become more lucrative than just planting beans and corn. So that's pretty much all I had to say about it. So anybody have any questions? Great, you all love it. That's great. by accident, we bought our property for something completely different. And that didn't pan out. So we just happened to buy some grapevines that were sold in the garden department at Walmart. And we planted them on our fence line and they took off. So I did more research into it. And I found that our area, you can't grow grapes like you can in California. Those are what are called vinifera types. We grow cold climate tolerant grapes. And there's specific hybrids that are created for this area. So a lot of those are very comparable to like the Cabernets that you see in the store, the Merlots or whatever. As a matter of fact, we've won several awards on ours. One of ours in particular, we won a double gold best in class. And we beat out all the other wineries in Illinois.
What a treasure for Will County. Thanks for all you're doing.
No problem, thank you. Anybody else? Okay, great.
Thank you.
I believe Nate Washburn has something.
Good morning. Thank you for your time and this opportunity. I'm actually here on 3 cases, so I'm going to try to go through them in the quickest and most efficient order possible. Zoning case 23-121, which is in Green Garden Township. They're splitting a farm, the old farmstead, off from the tillable acreage for resale. It was recommended unanimously at both PZC and Land Use Committee for approval, and we would ask the county board to approve that. Zoning case 23-132, which is the Caleb Chemical Facility down outside of Peatone. This came before this board about a year ago, and due to concerns about the industrial nature of the zoning, it was denied. Thanks to the county board's great efforts in putting in a similar and compatible use provision, we've been able to keep the zoning A1 and ask for a special use permit for similar and compatible to farm sales and service. That was also unanimously recommended for approval by both PZC and Land Use Committee, and I would ask the board today to approve that request as well. Last, and certainly not least, is zoning case 24004, which is Mr. Rich's Misty Hill Winery. I represent Eric and Kathy Metke, the immediate property owners to the south of the proposed location. They are in opposition. They have been in opposition. We turned in a petition of 23 local neighbors that are also in opposition to this request. The conditions that have been placed on do help, though I would like to ask for one clarification. The hours were changed. Originally, it was 12 to 6 and 12 to 8 p.m. They were changed to 10 to 6 and 10 to 8 p.m. I do not believe the 10 to noon hours were specifically earmarked as being private and not open to the public. And if that is the intent, as Rich has suggested, I would request that the county board make one further amendment to clarify that those 10 a.m. to noon hours are only for private events and not open to the public hours. My client would prefer and ask that the project be denied. They feel it's too close to their existing residents. They are putting a lot of money into rehabbing and renovating their residence, and they feel it's just too close. I've been told that the soils don't allow them to move the building. You know, that was one of our requested conditions. We would also ask that the county board not make this transferable, as while there are concerns about the current operations, they are even more afraid of what future operations might be, as once this building is constructed, it will be there, and we don't know who may run it, own it, or operate it in the future. So I would ask at a minimum, you condition those 2-hour windows to being only for private events, as has been suggested is what it was intended for. And otherwise, I would ask that you recommend or deny the request today. Any questions? If not, I know it's been a long meeting.
All right, so you said, how close? You said close. What's...
I believe the measurement from the corner of my client's home to the parking lot on their property is somewhere in the ballpark of 125 to 150 feet. I don't believe we have ever gotten a precise measurement.
I know Plainfield downtown has a winery which is surrounded by houses, and I don't think there's any problems there. And then you said they oppose. Why do they oppose?
They oppose it because they bought this property to live the nice rural life that Custer Park allows, and you are now going to be putting a commercial business, which is a winery, within 150 feet of their residence. There's going to be noise, there's going to be traffic, there's going to be things that somebody moving out to the country just doesn't want next door to them. And it's not just my client, there are also 23 other property owners in the area that don't believe this is a good or highest and best use for this property. This individual did try to get a wedding venue put on this property, I believe about 2 years ago. That was defeated because there was overwhelming opposition to it. Now we have this venue, smaller, but it's still going to be open to the public. He's still asking to have private events. What's the difference between a wedding luncheon and a wedding, or a funeral luncheon and a wedding reception? The circumstances. That's about it. I mean, you're still going to have food. You may still have alcohol. You're still going to have people. So it's the added traffic, the added noise, the added lights, the added sounds. They just don't want it next door to them. That's not what they moved there for, and that's not what they're putting money into rehabbing and rebuilding the home for.
Yeah, it seems like a trend. Yeah, I get it. Thanks.
County Board Member Newquist.
Yep, I just want a quick clarification. At land use, when I asked the same question about how far away their driveway was from the parking lot, I believe the answer I got was 200 feet at land use. So just wanted to point that out.
County Board Member Trenier.
I just had a question, and maybe it would have been better suited for the applicant, so maybe both of you could answer. Along the property line, how much screening is there room for a berm? Are there going to be some arborvitae planted there, full size? You know,
I can answer that for you, County Board Member. We did ask for a berm. We were told that that was going to cause water runoff issues. They did, one of the two conditions that was added is for additional screening.
Right.
And while my clients would still prefer the berm and more, the additional screening is a step in the right direction. There was a gap pretty much right where the parking lot was going to be settled between some existing, I believe they are cedars, and some existing, arborvitae, and I believe they are going to be, it was added as a condition to bridge that gap with additional plantings. So that was one of the two conditions already imposed.
Okay. And then how deep does this screen go? I mean, is it just one row of trees?
Yeah, one row. And they are evergreens.
Sir, can you go to the mic, just because, would you mind coming up to the mic and sharing? Thank you.
They are evergreens, so they'll be a screen year-round. And they are arborvitaes. They're green giant arborvitaes. They come out about 14 feet, and they can grow anywhere from 30 to 50 feet tall.
Right.
So and they're fast growing too.
Yeah, mine is growing quite fast.
Yeah, there you go.
I have one. I'm trying to block the sun from invading my eyeballs in the morning. So I do understand. Thank you.
And the cedars that Mr. Washburn mentioned are actually mature cedars from our property that we had transplanted over there. So we're going to have a big section of cedars, and then the rest will be the green giant.
Yeah. I just would encourage you strongly to consider even more plantings, some shorter bushes or something in front and in back of the arborvitae, anything to help, with the screening. Thank you.
County Board Member Van Dyne.
Thank you. It's nice to see that both you folks are working together. And if it's true that Rich is willing to, or his intentions from the time change in the morning is actually from 10 to noon. For private events only, I would be willing to put that condition on for the residents that oppose this project. Thank you both for making that concession. And if things have to change in the future, maybe we can revisit, but I will be making that amendment. Thank you.
Thank you.
County Board Member Butler.
Just a suggestion, I mean, if you're in the area that there's drainage, a good berm would be very good for your arborvitaes because they don't handle a lot of water well.
Okay, County Board Member Berkowitz, sorry.
Thank you, Madam Executive. I'm on land use and development. We had a thorough discussion at the committee meeting this month. The berm was addressed. It was shared that by putting a berm in, it would actually create water issues, especially for the neighboring property. Berms are not receptive for transferring water in the ways you might want water to be dispersed. So it was agreed that a berm was not practical. Both conditions have been added to the case and are part of the plan. The applicant was very cooperative. He has extended the full evergreen coverage and plantings through that entire boundary. And in addition to that, he has also agreed to reduce the hours. Those conditions have already been approved and passed through on this case. So I just wanted everyone to realize that these issues were addressed and they are part of the plan, the zoning cases you will be voting on today. So there really isn't any more discussion needed because it's already been addressed. Thank you.
So County Board Member Chair, just to clarify, his amendment is already part of what Joe is going to make the amendment for the, okay, then I'll let you just hit. All right, well, I'll let you do it when it comes up then. All right.
We did amend the hours, but what Mr. Washburn is suggesting is that we, instead of allowing it to be open to the public for the first 2 hours, that somehow you make it only for private events, I think is what.
Yes.
I'm
yes.
not saying I support
That's what
this or
he said
don't, I
at
just-
land use, was that he wanted the hours for private events, but the actual text amendment that was made to the resolution was just to extend the hours from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. So I'm asking that a further amendment be made to clarify that that additional 2-hour window in the morning is only to accommodate private events such as a luncheon or a board meeting, so that it's not open full-blown to the public during that 2-hour morning window. And I believe the applicant seems amenable to that.
County, Madam Executive, I'm a little confused because I believe that was we did have that conversation as well. That I believe he indicated it was not open to the public. And
I agree. I just don't believe the language of the text amendment
So I guess we
reflects
need
that.
to
So I'm
ask.
asking for clarification.
We need to ask staff, is there an issue here or not?
We'll do that when we get to the vote then.
Okay,
We'll make sure
great.
that
Thank
it's,
you.
so they know to amend it. Thank you.
Thank you, unless there's any other.
Good afternoon. My name's Alex Farkas. I am representing zoning case ZC 23-110 and 111. These are items 1 and 2. They are solar farms in District 3 near Frankfurt and near Moni along 57. The properties I'm working on, basically, if you're going north on 57, it's exit 337, Stenkel Road, and then a left on Ridgeland, and then a left on Dralley. I've been developing solar farms in Illinois for nearly half a decade or more, and I've been developing these particular properties for nearly 2 years. I've been working with the landowner. I've been working with the local municipalities. There have been no objectors on these projects from neither neighbors or municipalities. And I find these areas along the highway with not many residents around and nobody objecting to be quite ideal places for solar farms. I'm here to answer any questions. The past month or so, we've been recommended for approval by both the Planning and Zoning Commission and then unanimously by the Land Use and Development Committee. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to make a motion to close public hearing.
Motion by Pretzel, seconded by Revis. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Balich?
Yes.
Trainier? Yes. Dean Schlottman? Yes. Van Dyne? Van Dyne? Van Dyne?
Yes.
Pretzel?
Yes.
Butler? Newquist? Richmond? Williams? Diaz? Winfrey? Coleman? Logan? Freeman? Revis? Berkowitz?
Yes.
Mueller? Costa? Ogala?
Public hearing is now closed. Chair?
Okay, thank you again. First up on our agenda, ordinance amending the Will County, Illinois zoning ordinance as amended for zoning case ZC 23110, trust number 17330. Requesting a special use permit for a commercial solar energy facility for PIN number 2114083000080000 located in Monee Township, commonly known as vacant property located on the north side of Drolly Road, west of I-57, Monee, Illinois, County Board District Number 3. PZC approved this 6-0 for a commercial solar energy facility with 4 conditions, and land use approved 7-0 for a commercial solar energy facility, also with 4 conditions, and I so move.
Motion by Pretzel, seconded by Trenier. Previous roll call by Newquist, seconded by Yoska. Okay, Madam Clerk, you have any discussion on this first? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Balich? Trainier? Dean Schlottman? Van Dyne? Pretzel?
Yes.
Butler? Newquist? Richmond? Williams? Diaz? Winfrey? Coleman? Logan? Freeman? Revis? Berkowitz? Mueller? Costa? Ogala?
18 in affirmative, the motion carries.
Thank you. Next on the agenda, number 2, ordinance amending the Will County, Illinois zoning ordinance as amended for zoning case ZC 23111, trust number 17330. This is a special use permit for a commercial solar energy facility for PIN number 2114171000300000 in Monee Township, commonly known as vacant property located southeast of the intersection of South Ridgeland Avenue and West Raleigh Road, Monee, Illinois, County Board District Number 3. PZC approved this 6-0 for a special use permit with commercial solar energy facility with 4 conditions, and land use and development approved 7-0, approving special use permit for commercial solar energy facility with 4 conditions, and I so move.
Motion by Pretzel, seconded by Freeman. Any discussion? Previous roll call by Balich, seconded by Berkowitz. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Number 3, ordinance amending the Will County, Illinois zoning ordinance as amended for zoning case ZC 23121. Gladys M. Schneider, declaration of trust, owner of record, Anne Marie Van Altina, trustee, agent, and Nathaniel Washburn of KGG LLC, attorney, requesting a map amendment from A1 to E1 for PIN number part of 18132620000180000 in Green Garden Township, commonly known as 8333 West Bruns Road, Monee, Illinois, County Board District Number 3. PZC approved 6-0. Land use and development approved 7-0, and I so move.
Motion by Pretzel, seconded by Balich. Okay. Seconded by Trenier. Previous roll call by Ogala, seconded by Trenier. All in favor? We're changing Balich to a yes on that one. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
Number 4, ordinance amending the Will County, Illinois zoning ordinance for zoning case ZC 23132, Kulikowski Properties LLC, owner of record, and Nathaniel Washburn of KGG LLC, attorney, requesting a special use permit for a similar or compatible use to a permitted use in the underlying district in for PIN number 172029100005000 in Peatone Township, commonly known as 10919 West Wilmington Road, Peatone, Illinois, County Board District Number 2. This passed both PZC and Land Use Development unanimously, and I so move.
Motion by Pretzel, seconded by Dean Schlottman. Previous roll call by Berkowitz. Oh, sorry. Yep. Press your button. I don't know. Thank you. Sorry.
Sorry. I didn't think it would get enough attention. Is this the one about the chemical? And what type of chemicals are these?
So to be clear, they are chemicals, but these are things you might find in like bath bombs and soaps and things for Bath and Body Works. This isn't like, acids and things like that. And they don't, they just take them off of one truck, put them on another and deliver them. They're not mixing chemicals.
They're not manufacturing chemicals on the plant or anything like that. Okay.
County Board Member Newquist. Oh, sorry. All right, so we have a motion, we have a second, and I think I did a
Previous row.
previous Berkowitz, seconded by Ballage. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Number 5, ordinance amending the Will County, Illinois zoning ordinance as amended for zoning case ZC 24003. Vivian Adelagun and Lola Onanis, owner of record, and Patrick Wojtek of Sosin, Arnold and Schoenbeck LTD, attorney, requesting a special use permit for a similar or compatible use to a permitted use in the underlying district for PIN number 1909131310130000, Frankfurt Township, commonly known as 20029 Graceland Lane, Frankfurt, Illinois, County Board District Number 4. PZC approved 6-0 for a similar or compatible use to a permitted use, and Land Use and Development approved 6-1, approving special use permit for a similar or compatible use to a permitted use in underlying district with 6 conditions, and I so move.
Motion by Pretzel, seconded by Revis. We do have some members who would like to speak on this one. County Board Member Trenier.
Thank you, Madam Executive. I'm actually quite heartened to see this on our agenda. I was very happy. When growing up, I used to visit my grandmother frequently in Missouri, and this is what she did for a living. She took care of elderly people in the community in her home. We're talking in the 1970s when we didn't have nearly as many regulations on everything and anything. And her home, she took care of these folks. They had one bathroom, just as I did growing up when there were at times 6 to 8 of us living in the house. And we did manage. I have noted that as an employee of my township, one of the most frequently donated items to our township is wheelchairs and portable toilets. So this is a new thing that I don't know that was around in the 1970s, but maybe it was, and I was just too young to notice that my grandmother had these. But I'm sure they will work out the bathroom situation and/or, as time goes on, make modifications to the home to add an additional bathroom. But I want to commend the owner for doing this. I am very, very excited to see this. I wish we had more facilities like this. It would make it so much easier on those of us that have aging parents. I took care of both of my parents at different times in my home, and it was very, very difficult, and really didn't like at the end having to have them sent to a nursing home. So congratulations to this lovely woman that is starting this endeavor. Thank you.
Thank you. Member Logan.
All right, so I did listen to her, and I have one concern. She did mention, or he did mention, someone mentioned that the house is 1,200 square feet. 4 people plus 1, that's kind of tight, because I do know that my first floor is 2,000 square feet, and with 4 people in my house, sometimes we bump into each other. And the one bathroom a little concerns me. However, in 2016, I had to remove my mother from her house and put her into a nursing home. And that expedited her eventual death. And why I say that is because once you take away their independence, you take away a lot of them. So considering all that, I have all the faith that this is going to work out, and I hope we see a lot more of these popping up, because when you take someone's independence away, you strip them of their value, their worth, and everything. So I commend this person for doing this. So thank you.
Member Richmond.
So I think it's a great idea. I mean, we all have aging parents and we all want to make sure they're taken care of in the best possible way. The challenge that I have is it's a very small place. I believe I heard 3 bedrooms with 4 people. It's not ADA compliant. There is no fire suppression or anything like that. So I am concerned for the well-being of those residents. And that's my concern on this project.
Thank you. Member Butler?
Yeah, I would like to make a motion to table this until next month. I'd like to see the blueprints and the plans for how the house is going to be finished, and so that we can have a better idea on how this is going to be presented, because we're asking for a special permit use, but we don't actually know what the corrections to the existing structure are going to be. And I just feel like there's not enough information.
You'd have to make a motion to postpone, but do you want us to find out if we have those? Chair, do you have some more information? Yeah,
I guess I'll invite land use up here to speak on this, but that's, I hear these requests a lot, and I just want to remind us what we're voting on. We're not here today to decide if this applicant can operate this type of business. Or what we're here to vote on is, is this similar or compatible to what's already permitted use in that house? So I don't know if they owe us these things that we're asking for oftentimes. So I guess, Marguerite, can you explain that better than I just did?
Thank you. So Marguerite Kenny, Will County Land Use. Regarding the floor plan, they were submitted in your staff reports. They are not proposing a lot of interior changes. Basically, they want to use the existing bedrooms, which would meet building code requirements per square footage per resident. They were originally thinking of maybe converting the garage for more space. They changed their minds to keep it as a parking space. Aside from that, the plans that were provided in the staff report are what they have submitted so far for a building permit.
And again, just to remind what we're actually voting on today, Member Butler, so you will be able to, but if you would like, is there a second to postpone? Okay, we're gonna have we have a motion out here to postpone, seconded by Ogala. Any discussion on that? Okay, we're gonna have a roll call. This is on postponing this resolution.
Balich? Trainier? Dean Schlottman? Van Dyne? Pretzel? Butler? Newquist? Richmond? Williams? Diaz? Winfrey? Coleman? Logan? Freeman? Revis? Berkowitz? Mueller? Costa? Ogala? Yeah, 5. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Okay, with 5 in the affirmative, the motion fails. So we'll go back to discussion. County Board Member Berkowitz.
Thank you. So again, I sit on land use and development. I took the time to ask what I thought were thoughtful questions and questions appropriate to geriatric care. I have a lot of experience in this field, as well as having had 4 a set of parents on both sides that I had to advocate for. My concerns with this project include the space, the facility, and the health of a senior is fluid. It's fluid, and it can be very consuming. And this space, if you have 4 individuals and all of a sudden one is not mobile, this space is not adequate. Now, we know that once they get the permit, they can go in there and pretty much do whatever they want. And if there are issues, than land use, we would be depending on them to bring accountability. And unfortunately, I'm not going to assume that we may not have issues. This group home is not similar or compatible to anything in that neighborhood. And I'm looking at that neighborhood, and we had many residents come and express valid concerns. So because of my concern for the safety of the people who will be in that residence, I'm not satisfied that that this is the appropriate facility to provide the space or perhaps the care. Let's say one of them needs a little extra attention. Again, also for those not on the committee, we were told that there is only one staff member at any given time. Only one. If there was a medical emergency, what happens? What happens? Do they leave the facility and go with that person they're supposed to care for, or do they stay at the facility and the senior goes off to the hospital with no one to advocate for them? So I will not be supporting this, not because I don't support our seniors, I do, but I want to make sure that it's done correctly. Thank you.
Thank you. County Board Member Diaz?
Yes. I used to work in home health and hospice for 17 years, so I feel like I have probably more expertise than anybody in the room. I don't think we have a nurse. That's the only person who would be higher than me, or a doctor here. I feel very comfortable saying I would happily put a family member here. They also said the person has to be ambulatory, which means no wheelchair. They could use a walker or a cane. They're going to be fine getting out in case of an emergency. As many of you have pointed out, it's going to be a relatively small home. Y'all should go visit a couple nursing homes. They are on top of one another. You have two twin beds. They can't even get to their own closets in many of our local nursing homes here, operating all over this county. I am very confident in voting yes on this. Thank you.
County Board Member Newquist?
Yeah, I just wanted to point out, at least from our discussion on land use, that these are basically people who live independently, but they, for whatever reason, they choose not to live alone, whether they don't want to live alone, whether maybe they just need a little bit of help with like cooking and cleaning. So, I mean, these are not people assigned to this house. They're not people being forced into this situation. They're people who don't want to live alone for whatever reason. And again, they have got to be able to live independently. At least that was my understanding based on our extensive discussion at land use. So I will be supporting this.
Okay. All right, we've had no more comments here. We've had a motion and a second. So a motion by Pretzel, it was seconded by Revis. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Balich. Trainier.
Yes.
Dean Schlottman.
Yes.
Van Dyne.
Yes.
Pretzel.
No.
Butler.
No.
Newquist.
Yes.
Richmond.
No.
Williams.
Yes.
Diaz.
Yes.
Winfrey.
Yes.
Coleman.
Yes.
Logan.
Yes.
Freeman.
Yes.
Revis.
Yes.
Berkowitz.
No.
Mueller.
Yes.
Costa.
Yes.
Ogala. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Yep, 14.
14 in the affirmative, the motion carries.
Thank you. Number 6 on our agenda, ordinance amending the Will County, Illinois zoning ordinance as amended for zoning case ZC 24004. Misty Hill Vineyard LLC, owner of record, requesting a special use permit for a winery tasting room for PIN number 0125311000080000 in Custer Township, commonly known as vacant property on Old Hughes Road, Custer Park, Illinois, County Board District Number 1. PZC approved a special use permit for a winery tasting room with one condition, 5-1. And Land Use and Development approved special use permit for a winery tasting room with two conditions, 7-0, and I so move.
Motion by Pretzel, seconded by Winfrey. Any discussion? County Board Member Van Dyne.
Thank you, Madam Executive. To satisfy the intentions of the owners of Misty Hill Vineyard and also the wants of the opposition, I would like to amend the condition number 1 of the special use permit. Thank you. Acronyms here. I would like to change the hours from Wednesday, Thursday, and Sunday from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. for private events and 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. to open to the general public. Also, change the hours Friday and Saturday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. for private events and 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. open to the general public. I would like to make a motion to amend that.
Motion by Van Dyne, seconded by Dean Schlotman. Is there any discussion on the amendment? County Board Member Revis on the amendment? Oh, okay. Okay, Madam Clerk, please call the roll on the amendment. These.
Balich?
Yes.
Trainier? Yes. Dean Schlotman?
Yes.
Van Dyne?
Yes.
Pretzel?
Yes.
Butler?
Yes.
Newquist?
Yes.
Richmond?
Yes.
Williams? Diaz? Winfrey? Coleman? Logan? Freeman? Revis? Berkowitz?
No.
Mueller? Costa? Ogala? 18.
18 in the affirmative, the amendment carries, motion carries, sorry. So now we need a motion as amended. Motion by Van Dyne, seconded by Dean Schlotman. Now, will we have a discussion? No, fine, okay. Okay, previous roll call by Trenier, or would you like a roll call? Madam Clerk, please call the roll call.
He said previous roll.
Oh, I thought we did that already. Sorry. Seconded by Trenier. Previous roll call by Trenier, seconded by Butler. All in favor? Wait, hold on. I've got myself confused now. Yeah. So we have, the motion is amended. We have Van Dyne who made the motion, seconded by Dean Schlotman. A previous roll call by, okay, we have roll call by Trenier, seconded by Butler. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, sorry.
Okay, thank you. We have two resolutions today. First on the agenda, 24-53, amendments to Chapter 55 Stormwater Management Ordinance and Chapter 164 Water Resource Ordinances, and I so move.
Motion by Pretzel. Second by Trenier. Previous roll call by Winfrey. Seconded by Newquist. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Number two, 24-54, an intergovernmental agreement between the City of
Hold on a
Joliet.
second. I'm sorry. Yeah, Julie, would you like to be a yes on that last one?
Yes.
I'm
please.
sorry. Yes, thank you.
They didn't repeat it, they just said previous rule. So
So,
yes,
yes,
I do
okay,
support
thank
it.
you.
Thank
Yeah, it
you.
was my-
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Sorry, go back, Chair.
Previous roll was on the amendment, wasn't it? Okay. 24-54, an intergovernmental agreement between the City of Joliet and Will County concerning the Joliet African American Context Study, and I so move.
Motion by Pretzel, seconded by Winfrey. Previous roll call by Mueller, seconded by Trenier. All in favor? Any opposed?
I'd like to be a no on that, I'm sorry.
Okay, Madam Clerk, we're going to
Call the
take a
roll.
roll. Sorry.
There's too
Madam
many.
Clerk, take a roll.
Too many no's. Balich? No. Trainier? Yes. Dean Schlotman? Yes. Van Dyne? Yes. Pretzel?
No.
Butler? Yes. Newquist? Yes. Richmond? Yes. Williams? Yes. Diaz? Yes. Winfrey? Yes. Coleman? Yes. Logan? Yes. Freeman? Yes. Revis? Yes. Berkowitz?
Yes.
Mueller? Yes. Costa? Yes. Ogala?
Yes.
17.
17
In the affirmative.
in the affirmative, the motion carries.
Okay, thank you. That concludes my report. The next Land Use and Development Committee meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, April 9th, 2024, right here at the County Office Building. Thank you.
Thank you. Chair Richmond.
Good
Finance.
afternoon, Madam Chair. 5 items from Finance Committee this month. First one up is the monthly financial report to be placed on file, and I so move.
Motion by Richmond, seconded by Mueller. Any discussion? We're going to get a clean roll here. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Balich? Drainier? Dean Schlottman?
Yes.
Van Dyne?
Yes.
Pretzel?
Yes.
Butler? Newquist? Richmond?
Yes.
Williams? Diaz? Winfrey? Coleman? Logan? Freeman? Revis? Berkowitz? Mueller? Costa? Ogala? 18.
It's in the affirmative. The motion carries.
Second item up is Resolution 24-55, authorizing county executive to execute necessary documents for delinquent tax program, and I so move.
Motion by Richmond, seconded by Freeman. Previous roll call by Newquist, seconded by Mueller. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Number 3, Resolution 24-56, appropriating funds on hand in emergency management agencies' nuclear safety budget, and I so move.
Second, Revis.
Motion by Richmond, second by Revis. Previous roll call by Winfrey, second by Freeman. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
Fourth up is Resolution 24-57, appropriating stipend payments in various elected officials' budget, and I so move.
Motion by Richmond, seconded by Winfrey. Previous roll call by Mueller, seconded by Ballage. All in favor? Oh, do you have a discussion? I'm sorry. Go ahead, Connie. I looked down. Press those buttons.
I just want to make a clarification because somebody listening to this probably doesn't know what we're talking about. So right now, certain elected officials receive a stipend from the state that they have been paying. Legislation changed so that I think 3 will now come in through the county and be paid through the county, and the remaining will still go through the state. So it's not like any elected official is getting an additional stipend of any sort. This has just been a longstanding stipend. So I just wanted to clarify that. Anyone listening out there in the stratosphere.
Thank you.
Yeah, basically just some housekeeping, cleaning things up, making things easier, more streamlined, so.
Hold on, we got to go. All in favor?
Okay, sorry.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Yep.
All right. Number 5, Resolution 24-58, transferring appropriations within various county budgets, and I so move.
Motion by Richmond, seconded by Freeman. Previous roll call by Winfrey, seconded by Diaz. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, lastly, our next Finance Committee meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, April 2nd, right here at the county building. That's all I have.
Thank you. Chair Van Dyne?
Thank you, Madam Executive, and good afternoon. Public Works and Transportation has 7 items to present today, starting with number 1, 24-59, confirming award of deconstruction, $1,097.70. I'm sorry, $97,070.96 for Weber Road, County Highway 88 at Knapp Street widening and resurfacing, County Board District 5. I so move.
Motion by Van Dyne, seconded by Costa. Previous roll call by Trinier, seconded by Freeman. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Resolution 24-60, confirming award of contract to Vulcan Construction Materials, $9 a ton for Peatone Road District Materials Aggregate Stone, County Board District 2. I'll make the motion.
Second, Freeman.
Motion by Van Dyne, seconded by Freeman. Previous roll call by Ogala, seconded by Costa. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
24-61, confirming award of contract to Vulcan Construction Materials, $19.75 a ton for aggregate chips, County Board District 2. I so move.
Motion by Van Dyne, seconded by Mueller, seconded by, previous roll call by Ogala.
Second, Freeman.
Oh, stop. Thank you. I get carried away. Sorry, County Board Member Berkowitz.
Thank you. I opened the attachments, but I couldn't see, what are the chips? Are these wood chips, or, I'm just curious.
Yep. Yep. County Board,
So Julie, I used to work for Will Township Road District. We tar and chip our roads out there.
Tar and
We
chip.
tar and chip. So you guys have asphalt roads. Some roads are concrete. These are tar and chips. You put down a layer of oil, and you put these little small chips on top, and you come along with the roller, and it seals it in.
Okay, chips of
Chips of stone.
Stone, okay,
They're not
awesome.
corn chips
Thank
or
you.
anything like that.
Because I just noticed that these chips are 19.75 a ton, but the other material's only $9 a ton, so that's quite a difference.
Different types of stone.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go back. We had Joe Van Dyne who made the motion. Was it seconded by Ogala on that one? Do you remember who, can we just second that one? County, we didn't get it there, so I don't remember who did it, so. Was it Mueller? Okay, so County Board Member Van Dyne motion, Mueller seconded. We had previous by Ogala. I'm going to do that next. We're going to add seconded. And County Board Member Coleman, would you like to be added? Is it yes? There you go. All in favor? Any
Aye.
opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, number 4, 24-62, authorizing an IGA between Village of Manuka, the County of Grundy, and the County of Will for the improvement of McEvely Road, County Highway 32 from Ridge to Vista Court, County Board District 1. I will make that motion.
Motion by Van Dyne, seconded by Winfrey. Previous roll call by Newquist. Seconded by Ballard. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
Resolution 24-63, authorizing the transfer of jurisdiction for North River Road from the west right-of-way of the West Frontage Road easterly, .32 miles, to a point 236 feet east of East Frontage Road to the end of Will County's jurisdiction between the county and the State of Illinois Highway Code. County Board District 1, I so move.
Motion by Van Dyne, seconded by Freeman. Previous roll call by Winfrey, seconded by Trenier. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
2464, authorizing the transfer of jurisdiction for Manhattan Money Road from US Route 45 to Center Road, County Highway 19. Between the County of Will and State of Illinois, County Board District 3, I so move.
Motion by Van Dyne, seconded by Butler. Previous roll call by Ogala, seconded by Ballard. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
And number 7, lastly, 24-65, appropriating transportation funds, $5,500,000 for ComEd relocation engineering costs associated with the improvements for Gauger Road, County Highway 52 Bridge over the CN Railroad, County Board District 2, and I so move.
Motion by Van Dyne, seconded by Pretzel. Previous roll call by Ballard, seconded by Ogala. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
The next Public Works and Transportation Committee meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, April 2nd, 2024, and that concludes our report.
Thank you. Moving on to Public Health and Public Safety. Chair Freeman.
Good afternoon. I broke it.
Good afternoon. Sorry I broke it. We had a couple of presentations, one from the First Responder Suicide Prevention Program and one from the Commission on Accreditation Rehabilitation Facilities Survey, which is CARF results. And on that one, I do have to say we earned a 3-year accreditation and overall best survey results since 1998. We have 3 resolutions to bring forth. The first one is 2466, appropriation of funds to the Illinois Department of Public Health Cities Readiness Initiative Grant, Will County Health Department, in the total of $8,000, and I so move.
Motion by Freeman, seconded by Ogala. Discussion. Previous roll call by Diaz, seconded by Winfrey. All in favor?
I
Any
really did.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. It looks like it's my Chromebook.
Oh.
The second one is Resolution 2467, transferring appropriations within the Health Department budget to fund interpreter services. And I would like to, after further discussion with the Health Department, motion to remove this from the agenda.
Motion to remove from the agenda by Freeman, seconded by Costa. Previous roll call by Ogala, seconded by Van Dyne. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
And the last one is number 3, Resolution 24-68, authorizing the Will County Sheriff's Office to enter into an intergovernmental agreement with the Illinois State Police to utilize the incinerator for destruction of evidence, and I so move.
Motion by Freeman, seconded by Dean Schlottman. Previous roll call by ballot, seconded by Butler. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Our next Public Health and Public Safety Committee meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, April 9th, and that concludes our report.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you, Joe.
Chair Berkowitz, Legislative.
Thank you, Madam Executive. So we have a Resolution 24-69, Federal 2025 Legislative Agenda, and I so move.
Motion by Berkowitz, seconded by Butler. And any discussion? Previous roll call by ballot, and then seconded by Trenier. All in favor?
Resolution 24-7.
Motion carries, sorry. Sorry, motion carries. County Board Member Berkowitz.
Resolution 24-70, amending Resolution 24-38 for the state legislative agenda regarding Senate Bill 3091, and I so move.
Motion by Berkowitz, seconded by Butler. Any discussion? Previous roll call by ballot, seconded by O'Gala. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Resolution 24-71, amending Resolution 24-38 regarding House Bill 4612, and I so move.
Motion by Berkowitz, seconded by Butler. Previous roll call. Any discussion? No, previous roll call by Dean Schlottman, seconded by Diaz. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. And our next legislative committee meeting is Tuesday, April 2nd, 2024 at 12 p.m.
Thank you. Chair Mueller.
Thank you. Sorry. We had our meeting for Capital Improvements Committee, and any of our reports from that, from the facilities, from Bill Fern and Dave Tack, are attached to our agenda. The one resolution we have to move forward today is number 1-24-72, authorizing request for proposal for facility needs assessment. And I so move.
Motion by Mueller, seconded by Butler. Any discussion? Previous roll call by Winfrey, second by Trenier. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
Great. We didn't have anything else, so if you would like to join us to talk more about that, that last resolution at our next meeting will be April 2nd, 2024.
Thank you. Dean Schlottman, Landfill.
Good morning, Madam Executive. Last time in the Landfill Committee, we had gotten some more information about our tipping fees and some information about the RNG plant and how all of that is the way that the landfill makes money. We also had discussed how there seemed to be a lot of weekly meetings going on, or Mr. Harkey had said that he talks several times with some of the other entities like Aptum and things for information that's going forward with the landfill. And as chair of the landfill committee and maybe some of the other members, we were hoping that we could be invited to some of those meetings, considering that we will be, helping make decisions on that. But there's nothing for us to bring forth at this time. So the next meeting will be Thursday, April 4th, right here in this building, 2024.
Thank you. And Chair Dean Schlottman, I'm sure as a chair, they'll be more than happy. They can't invite, obviously,
I
everyone,
understand, not everybody, but
yeah. Yep.
Chair, vice chair, maybe one other committee member at a time. I understand.
How many are on that committee? Do you know?
7.
7, okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Chair Agala, Executive.
Thank you. First item on my agenda is Resolution 2473, authorizing the date change for the April 11th, 2024 Will County Executive Committee meeting due to the fact that we will be out of town, many of us, for our lobbying down in Springfield. So I make that motion.
Motion by O'Gala, seconded by Trenier. Previous roll call by Winfrey.
Second ballot.
Seconded by Ballard. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Next is Resolution 24-74, authorizing the county executive to execute an intergovernmental agreement with the Illinois Emergency Management Agency and the Office of Homeland Security, and I so move.
Motion by O'Gall, seconded by Winfrey. Previous roll call by Freeman, seconded by Newquist. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Third item is Resolution 24-75, authorizing the county executive to execute an intergovernmental agreement with Green Garden Township Road District to provide access to the countywide radio system, and I so move.
Motion by O'Gall, seconded by Mueller.
Previous ballot.
Previous roll call by Ballard, seconded by Newquist. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 4 is Resolution 24-76, authorizing the reallocation of FEMA grant dollars, and I so move.
Second ballot.
Motion by O'Gall, seconded by Ballard. The previous roll call by Mueller. Second by Winfrey. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Item 5 is Resolution 24-77, Scrivener's error to correct zoning for case 23-093, and I so move.
Motion by O'Gall, seconded by Mueller. Previous roll call by Ballard. Seconded by Trenier. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Item number 6 is Resolution 24-78, amending Resolution -24-38 fiscal year 2024 state legislative agenda regarding House Bill 5050, and I so move.
Motion by O'Gall,
Second ballot.
seconded by Ballard. County Board Member Trenier. All right, okay, got it.
Roll call.
Oh, that what you're, okay.
I do want to speak on it.
Well, you want to speak now?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So at first glance, I looked at this and I was like, a little suspicious of what this was all about, but then I read the fine print. And while I'm sure there are people that are tempted to think that your office is going to try and take control of the entire county, I actually like this concept. We recently had a situation in our township where the mosquito abatement district was abolished. I don't even know how it got abolished. It got abolished. Maybe I even voted on it. I don't recall. But then the mayor of the town in question came to our township and said, we'd like you to help pay for this mosquito work. And I'm like, no. You know, if you didn't want to pay for it, you shouldn't have abolished it. And so the idea that there's going to be a plan in place for any of these kind of things to happen and that people are going to get to review that plan, that falls in line with my thinking about how we should always be planning. And I would, for one, would like Illinois not to be known as the state in the union that has the most levels of government, even though I met the tree czar from Massachusetts. They have tree czars over there in their various districts. It's amazing, and they still don't have more units of government than us. I'm not sure how. But yeah, I would be all for savings if we could find savings. If there is no savings, then I would not want to, you know, approve anything. But until we get a way to examine that, we won't know. So I am going to be in favor of this resolution, and I did file a witness slip to that effect. Thank you.
County Board Member Ballard.
I just want to state for the record that when a township road district gets below 4 miles of road, it gets discontinued. And back when Bolingbrook got below 4 miles of road, the road district was supposed to give it to the county. The county didn't want it and said, let the township board take it over. The township board took it over and they neglected to do a levy. So their levy was 0. And that's why they can't get any money, because they didn't levy. If they would have levied, they would have been able to get the money for that road. And then I also want everyone to know that Township of Illinois, the TOI, is sent out a message to everybody that they're going to be fighting this bill, that all the townships are against it. Thank you.
County Board Member Butler.
Yeah, so, I'm against this bill as well, and I believe that less layers of government actually, for some people might be appealing, but for freedom-loving people, we understand that in order to maintain your freedoms, that it requires responsibility for ourselves. And when we give up those responsibilities, then we start losing freedoms along the way. So I would definitely be against this. I'm for what we're doing, but against the actual,
All right, so there's no more comments. We have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, please, oh, I'm sorry. You want more? All right, sorry.
All right. All I did was read it, Jennifer. So for me, if this language were a bit different than what it was, I might possibly support it. But with the county board or the county executive able to seek this dissolution with final approval only needed by the comptroller without the consent of the township or the people of the township, I think that's worrisome. I think this should go to referendum. The township people should decide if they want to get rid of it or not, unless, of course, there's the situation with there's 4 miles of road or less, and then it just gets dissolved, which it should. I also don't like the wording that the county executive, by executive order, could do this without the county board being involved. So I think there would need to be some changes made on this, so I will not be supporting this.
So again, we had a motion, second. Madam Clerk, please call the roll. I just turned you off. Sorry.
Balich?
Yes.
No. No.
Wait a minute.
No, wait.
I'm reading it to
He
you.
is a yes, because this is to oppose, it's, the vote
It's
is
amended,
it's
okay.
amended to.
All right, the
oppose.
vote is amend to oppose it. Lo siento, everyone. Right,
So I'm a no.
so you're a yes.
I said yes the first time.
We know.
We do this a lot with you, Steve. We give you your oops. How would you like to vote, sir? How would you like to vote, Steve?
Yes, no.
Okay.
I was a yes the first time.
Okay, thank you. Mhm.
Sorry.
Oops.
Sorry to have confused you.
Trainier?
There's no amendment to this one, no. We're voting on the actual, yeah.
Are we ready? Okay. Dean Schlottman? Yes. Van Dyne? No. Pretzel? No. Butler? Yes. Newquist? No. Richmond? Yes. Williams? Diaz? Yes. Winfrey? No. Coleman? No. Logan? Freeman? No. Revis?
I think we're confused on the direction. I'm a yes, but I think I might be a no, but we're confused on the directions here.
It's amending Resolution 2438, the state legislative agenda. That is the resolution. You had a, yeah. Yes to amend it.
So,
So the resolution is to amend your
No,
prior-
you can, County Board Member O'Gala, you can speak. So unless you're going to come up here and, yeah,
Kim,
yes.
could you please go and let everyone know up there? Because there's confusion. Thank you.
Can we still over?
So the resolution
it's not right,
is
just signing the
to
resolution and saying
amend
second.
your original resolution, which created your state legislative agenda, to include the opposition to the bill as listed. I keep forgetting the
HB
number.
5050.
HB 5050. So if you are opposed to House Bill 5050, you're a yes. If you're in favor of it, you're a no.
Right.
Because I understand that oops happen, and there are sometimes things don't come clearly across. I am going to let us start over on this, because I do respect
So
the voices.
point of order.
I don't
Point
care.
of
That is
order.
my point of
We
order.
have the point of order, Jennifer. We have the
Member Clerk,
ability,
call the-
I'm sorry, point of order. We
There's no
have
point
the
of order.
ability to change our vote on the floor during the time.
Balich? Balich?
We're moving on. We're moving on. Just go ahead.
Balich?
Yes or no? Yes or no?
Trainier? Dean Schlottman? Van Dyne? Pretzel? Butler? Newquist? Richmond? Williams? Diaz? Winfrey. Coleman. Logan. Freeman. Revis. Berkowitz.
There's no comment, just make your vote, we're done with comments. It's just a vote now. You can make, at the end of the day, you can make it. There's no, we're in the voting.
Mueller.
Once voting starts, all comments stop. Those are the Robert's Rules of Order.
Just keep going, please.
Mueller.
No.
Costa. Ogala.
Yes.
7, 8, 9, 10. 11 yes. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 11, 8. 11 in the affirmative.
11 in the affirmative, the motion carries.
Thank you. Item number 7, Resolution 24-79, directing the Will County State's Attorney to file litigation to challenge the county executive's ability to veto a resolution. And I so move.
Motion by Ogala.
Second.
Second by Ballard. Any discussion? County Board Member Tunier?
Yes. I don't believe, and I've said this repeatedly, unless somebody can show me something in state statute that allows the county board to direct another elected office, this is illegal. We can't do this. I mean, if you want to vote to approve it, that's fine, but the state's attorney is not going to do anything because we told them to in a vote at a county board meeting. It is against the law. I could put, if I was the chair, I could put something on here to tell Lauren that election day is no longer, whatever second Tuesday in November. We're going to have it on April 1st for all the fools. I mean, you can't do this. You cannot do this. Madam Executive, this is just, I don't understand. We are not legally allowed. Maybe I need the state's attorney to clarify what I'm saying. Maybe I'm not saying it right, not in the right words, but as far as I know, we are not allowed to do this.
So county board can request that litigation be filed, but at the end of the day, it is always within the discretion of the state's attorney to whether to move forward with litigation or not.
County Board Member, are you done, County Board Member Tunier?
Yes.
Okay. County Board Member Williams? I'm going to put you on. You're all right.
Well, if the state's attorney is our attorney, even though he is elected, I'm thinking that we can direct our attorney.
Okay. County Board Member Butler?
Yeah, I think we've been through all this. I mean, we have a discrepancy here. And if it was one person, I would say, they're going to have to get over it. But when you had the majority of the board vote on something, I think that our system from time to time needs to be tempered with a little legal debate, and it should go before a judge. So I would support this.
Right. Any other comments? So we have a motion. We have a second. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Balich. Trainier. Dean Schlottman. Van Dyne. Pretzel. Butler. Newquist. Richmond. Williams. Diaz. Winfrey. Coleman. Logan. Freeman. Revis. Berkowitz. Mueller. Costa. Ogala. 10. 10, 9. Yeah.
10 in the affirmative, motion carries. Motion carries. 10 in the affirmative, the motion carries.
Thank you. Next is item number 8, Resolution 2480, directing the Will County State's Attorney to file litigation to decide that Resolution 24-27, signed on February 16, 2024, is valid. And I so move.
Previous roll.
Well, we had a motion by Ogala. Second? Seconded by Butler. Previous roll call by Trinier, seconded by Van Dyne. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. And Resolution 24-81, directing the Will County State's Attorney to file litigation to enforce Resolution 24-27, signed on February 16th, 2024. And I so move.
Motion by O'Gala, seconded by Butler. Previous roll call by Trinier, seconded by Berkowitz. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. The next Executive Committee meeting is scheduled for Thursday, April 4th, 2024. Moving on, we have appointments by the County Executive. Resolution 24-82, executive appointments to the Will County Stormwater Management Planning Committee, and I so move.
Motion by O'Gala, seconded by Mueller. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Balich?
Yes.
Trainier? Yes. Dean Schlottman? Yes. Van Dyne?
Yes.
Pretzel? Yes. Butler? Yes. Newquist? Yes. Richmond? Yes. Williams? Yes. Diaz? Yes. Winfrey? Yes. Coleman? Yes. Logan? Yes. Freeman? Yes. Revis? Yes. Berkowitz? Yes. Mueller? Yes. Costa? O'Gala?
Yes.
19.
19 in the affirmative, the motion carries. At this time, we'll move on to public comments relevant to matters under the jurisdiction of the county. Are there any public comments for any jurisdiction under the county? Next, we'll move on to comments by county, I'm sorry. Oh, no, I think they're leaving, yeah. I think. Members moving on to comments by the board members, County Board Member Berkowitz.
Jennifer, in the last item, I had my button on and you didn't see.
I'm sorry, yeah.
I wanted to ask you about the current status of the Stormwater Planning Committee, and has District 10 been resolved? Because I sent an email and I've never gotten a response.
I know we've gone back and forth a little bit. I'm waiting on mayor's letters. I can't, yeah.
No, he submitted the letter.
Okay, then I will verify. I haven't verified. Since the last time we've communicated, I am not sure if the Aurora mayor has given the letter.
It has.
Okay, then it'll be on the next agenda. It probably just didn't meet the deadline then.
I don't know what deadline.
The county board
I'm not
gives a
aware.
deadline to when we have to give appointments in. So if
Okay.
everything's in, it's going, it's going to go, it's
Well,
going to happen.
I'd like to know,
Yeah.
because we're in limbo. Prior to my last inquiry to your staff, you already had received the letter from the mayor of Aurora. So you have the letter from the mayor of Aurora.
I'll have to verify that.
You do?
Okay.
Because
Then it will be on next agenda.
I personally had it and made sure you got it, so.
This is
I
all a
would
waiting
like-
game. I have to wait for the mayors. I have to wait for people
No,
to turn things.
the
so
mayors have already
it may
provided
have,
it.
you may have missed the deadline for when we can turn things in.
What is the deadline? I
The
wasn't
county
aware
board
there
has
was a deadline.
of, I think it's usually the Tuesday of the last of the month and the Tuesday, yeah. So it'll be
So
on,
you're saying the deadline was in February?
yes. That's so the county board can get things
No,
ready. They have, yeah.
I-
Because they have to have it ready for their committees.
I'm not asking about why it's not on our board
Okay.
meeting today.
All right.
I want to know what the status is so we can resolve the
As
situation.
soon as we get
and I
all
did
these
not get a
information, we
response
put
from
them
you.
on. As soon as everything is collected that we need, we send it to the county board. It may just not have been able to, it may have come the Wednesday or Thursday, so. I don't have that with me, in front of me right now. But like when you emailed before, I will verify that and get back to you today on that.
When will you get back?
I will get back to you today after this meeting.
Today.
I will tell you what
and
we have and what we
include
don't
Kim.
have.
Thank you.
I'll include Kim, yes. All right. Any other comments by the county boards? County Board Member Richmond.
Thank you very much. You know what, I'm all for, downsizing, right-sizing, efficiencies to the residents, the citizens, and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it's something that's been preached in colleges since the 1970s. At least that's the only thing I can attest to is when I went to school. But I'm all for that type of government being put down to the lowest possible level, to the localities, the municipalities that actually touch the people. That's where we should have it. So I'm in favor of all those things. It's just, where does it go? It should end up in the villages and the municipalities and the consolidation of some of these other organizations, whether it's park districts, et cetera. So I'm for that kind of movement, you know, making organizations more efficient and effective, because that's what the citizens demand and need. So I just wanted to make my position clear on that.
Thank you. County Board Member Coleman?
Thank you, Madam Executive. We had our primary election this past Tuesday, and everyone knows that I'm not running. And it's for various reasons. And I was planning to give a great speech at my last board meeting in November, but there's no way I'm waiting. I'm gonna talk every month, because the lack of decorum in here that would not entice me to run again. There's constantly screaming. I feel like I'm at a high school debate, or maybe even middle school sometimes. There's constant disrespect to the county executive. And I don't know if this is personal. When you don't agree with someone, that doesn't give you a right to be disrespectful. And that's what we keep running into. There are things that happen that I haven't been in complete opposition against, but I don't call anyone out. I don't start yelling at them. I don't overtalk people. I don't interrupt people, because you're going to disagree. It's like a clown show in here half the time, and I'm very tired of it. A lot of this stuff is performative. We can send as much as we want to the state legislators. We don't need to spend hours talking about it, because they've made their decision and they're going to make the decision. Yes, we should give them something based on what we agree with as a county, but these long drawn out debates about these things are ridiculous. And the people who are running have asked me why I'm not running again. It's really primarily because my professional life has taken off, and I cannot afford to continue to come somewhere where it's disrespect, lack of decorum. I've been on leadership. I've been a leader since the day I was born, to be honest, but I've been in leadership positions since the day I joined ROTC in 1997 at U of I. And it is ridiculous for me to sit up in here, and with everyone in here, I think, is older than me except for Revis. And I find I had the same issue when I was in the military. I don't know why I thought the older you get, the wiser you get, the better you respect people, the better you treat people, because that is not helping. And if you think I'm ageist, I'm not being ageist. I'm specifically talking about the people in this room who are supposed to be setting the example. We talk about, oh, I've been on the board this long, or when such and such was on the board. I don't know what the heck y'all was doing then, but right now it seems like a doggone clown show. People laugh at us because we're sitting here arguing about the most foolish things and making personal attacks. I haven't said anybody's name. So if the shoe fits, clown shoe, wear it.
County Board Member Revis?
Yes, so going into kind of some of the things that we need to focus on here instead of the environment. Last fall, we raised taxes on Will County residents to the tune of $18 million. I did some communication to my district and the residents that live in my district, and they are concerned with their ever-increasing property tax bills. One group in particular that is concerned about it are seniors. Many of them are on fixed incomes. Maybe they paid off their home, and they don't want to leave our wonderful community in Plainfield, but they feel like they have no choice because the property taxes are becoming unbearable. So one of the things I've been kind of previewing to fellow board members, both on the Republican side and the Democrat side, is through the state statute, county board members and the county boards are allowed to move the deadline for low-income senior freezes to somewhere as far out in the future as like November. Currently, state statute has it set for July 1st. I do think that is something that we should consider taking up as a board, because I know all of us are concerned about our senior populations. And if you're not concerned about property taxes, you should be. So with that, just want to leave you guys with a little quote that I ran across, and it reminded me of the county board. This is from a former FBI hostage negotiator, Chris Voss. In any interaction or negotiation, the most vital principle to keep in mind is never to look at your counterpart as an enemy. The person across the table is never the problem. The unsolved issue is. So focus on the issue. This is one of the most basic tactics for avoiding emotional escalations. Our culture demonizes people in movies and politics, which creates the mentality that if we only got rid of the person causing us problems, then everything would be okay. But this dynamic is toxic and in any relationship and in any negotiation. So that's my comments. I think we need to start working together a little bit better. That's no shock, but anyway, see you all next month. Have a good month back in your districts.
Thank you. County Board Member Mueller?
Good afternoon, everyone. I just wanted to back up what Member Coleman and what Member Revis just spoke about. I really appreciate it when we focus on the subject matter and avoid making emotionally charged comments towards each other. I feel like that's, it's essential that we stay on task and be professional and having a professional environment in this building to fulfill the work that people elected us to do. And I also want to express my gratitude to all the staff members in all of the departments here for their daily efforts in supporting our county government. I know it's not easy in here sometimes, but I want you to know that I'm here to serve the residents. And none of this would be possible without our staff. So I genuinely appreciate all of their hard work and dedication and sticking with us in these tougher times. Thanks a lot, guys.
Moving on to announcements by the Republican leader.
Oh, I'm glad this meeting's over with. But going forward, let's think about next year. We have St. Patrick's Day in this month, right? Got a lot of Irish here. Then you got a lot of Polish. Polish got St. Joseph Day. And you got a lot of Italians. And if you're from Sicily like me, that means you incorporate probably every nationality in this room. So I'm wearing red in celebration of St. Joseph's Day. And then I don't wear green because I have no Irish, but I got every other nationality, every other one. My family is very culturally mixed. So I can honestly say cannolis and pierogies and beer. So God bless everybody.
County Board, Leader Trenier.
Thanks, Madam Executive. I hope that we all have a wonderful month of March, what's left of it, and that we all try to focus on a new opportunity for spring. April brings showers. Let's hope that it just puts out some of the fires on this board. Thank you.
Chair O'Gallop.
Thank you. So I would like to be just a pleasant dewdrop in the room, but seriously, here's the thing. If you are not at every committee meeting and you're not hearing everything that goes on throughout the month, if you're not involved in conversations across the aisle to find out what has happened, or what somebody has said and then denied saying, or what somebody has done and denied doing, and what somebody else has done and said it was just, I didn't even know I did it. I mean, those are the things that drive this. We're going to have contentious conversations. I believe as elected officials, that's our job, to sit here and belt out the issues and come up with a decision at the end, whether you're going to support or oppose something, whether you're going to approve something to go forward, whether it's a road project or building a new building or tearing down a building. Those conversations are going to be had. This isn't a room where everybody is going to get along because there's so many different things that we vote on. Some of them are politically driven. Some of them are just emotionally driven, that some people feel compelled that they're going to vote no because they don't like solar farms, or yes because they love eagles. Those things are going to happen. And as far as everybody, I think everybody wants to come in and makes an attempt to be very professional here and say, I will wait my turn, and then sometimes they just can't and jump in over each other and turn mics on and turn mics off. This is an emotional thing. This is going to happen. I think that that's something that we have to realize, because not everything that you hear when you're sitting here on County Board Day is completely factual when you hear people make these comments. I know that because I've been here all month and I've been to every meeting, and I know what is said. I know what happens outside that some people in this room aren't even aware of that has happened. So I just want to say that's how I feel about the comments that were made today. And additionally to that, I do want to thank Jeff and his crew for giving us a great presentation of the 50-50 plan. I know there's lots of people who are interested in having presentations in their own districts, so we'll be following up with Jeff to find out what we can do with that, because I think that's very important for all of us. And then finally, I just want to say thank you to everyone for all the work that you do on your boards, because I know it takes up a lot of time. And the clerk is still standing even after the election, so that's amazing. You know, it's a long time. And I just want to say happy Easter to everyone. Thank you.
All right, with that, can I get a motion to recess to Thursday, April 18th? Motion by Winfrey, seconded by O'Gala. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.